Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's show was recorded on February the 15th, 2017. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist. With me, as always, my late Valentine.
Caffeine Rage.
Here to make it a threesome.
Chmis.
And all the way to an orgy.
Ghostshark.
He doesn't sound too excited to be here.
I'm excited.
I was just imagining an orgy now.
Excited.
On today's show, we will be, of course, discussing the games that we played, and with four of us, there will be many of them. And the rest of the show is going to be the Valve show. We've got Steam Direct Publishing replacing Steam Greenlight. Steam Discovery 2.0 leads to game sales. Valve thinks modders definitely need to be paid. And Community Corner will mostly just be Tweet Central this week, since we have our only two participants on the show. Timestamps will, of course, be following their respective topics in the show notes. How you doing, boys?
And good, doing good. I was
I'm
mid-coffee swig.
You know,
Ghost, you sound a little bit quiet all of a sudden.
We will record at a time that is normal to me, and people will realize, this Chmis guy is not really that much of an asshole when he has more than 3 hours of sleep.
Wait, how is that different when you're well-rested?
I'm just intentionally an asshole then.
How are you, Ghost? First timer on the show.
I'm doing good. I figured tonight would be better. This would be better than doing what I was going to do and studying all night. So, whatever.
Yeah, we hit you last minute.
Yeah, procrastination.
Yeah,
it's
mostly to settle this feud in the Community Corner.
Oh God, no! Are we going to do this tonight? All right.
Well, it's more, just throwing you two in, sitting back and watching you fight while Jared and myself have some popcorn.
Popcorn makes crunchy sounds on the mic.
If I say right now that we just agree to disagree, will you kick Ghost out?
Hey, wait, what? I was going to be nice, and I was going to start off with an agreement with you on something, but you know what? Maybe
Part of me
take the gloves off now.
Part of me wants to say yes for comedic effect, but the rest of me just says no because that would be mean.
No, simple. If they agree to disagree, we lock them both in the crate and just shake it for a bit.
Be like Schrodinger's cat. Are we both alive or dead?
Definitely dead. You killed each other. Okay, well, since we have many, many minutes worth of content for this show, let's just go ahead and dive right in. Who wants to go first talking about the games they played this week? Any takers?
Ghostshark.
Yeah. How did I know that was going to happen first timer? All right.
I mean, you listen to the show. You know how it goes.
You know what? Do I listen to that show anymore? I can't remember.
Probably not after this week.
All right, so I guess first and foremost game that I played is Stone Hearth.
Okay.
It is a isometric view.
Well,
okay.
I just lost Jared.
Well, all right.
Actually, it's on my wish list. I've had it on there for a while. It's one of the ones that's on the.
Have you ever
sorted? It's on the sorted part of the wish list.
Have any of you guys ever heard of Towns?
Yeah.
Yeah, and massively disappointed about what they did to it.
Yeah.
Out of those, there was two that came out at about the same time, Towns and Memoria. And actually,
I do remember that one too,
Memoria.
yeah. So, Stone Hearth is basically like the successor to Towns, only it's actually working. And it's balanced better.
Does that have a developer that's still active?
They are, actually.
Because that's what happened with Towns was that the developer just basically up and quit without really any warning.
Yeah, I do remember that because I loved that game when it was out and about. But so no, Stone Hearth, it's the same general theme, only it's better graphics. It's not the cheesy pixel graphics. It's kind of like chibi Minecraft.
Yeah, it looks cute.
But it's it sucks up a lot of my time. It's
so
not
basically
perfect.
it's your version of RimWorld.
Factorio.
Actually, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I fired up RimWorld last night to goof around with it. And next thing I knew, 7 hours had passed.
Yeah, I mean, that's... I don't really...
And it wasn't even, I wasn't even recording. It was just, messing around with a couple of things.
Yeah, and then there's not a whole lot to do right now because it is still fairly early alpha, but, you just build a little settlement, you fend off invaders coming into your territory, and, you make people into different professions and have them do different things, and...
It's essentially one of the better Dwarf Fortress Light, or like, depending on how you want to phrase it, games, isn't it? I missed out on getting it in a bundle at some point on Repeats, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely... The way you talk about Dwarf Fortress, it has some of the analogs to that, too, but just a little... I don't know if it's a matter of it's calmer than Dwarf Fortress, or, a little more user-friendly, or if it's just there's not that much stuff in it yet. I don't know.
It's probably a combination of being more user-friendly, because that is the big problem with Dwarf Fortress, is that it's been in development for over a decade, and it has layers upon layers of UI just piled on one arm on top of another, and some of the UI is not exactly intuitive, and it has a lot of very old design decisions on it as well, which it desperately needs to have just probably about a year's worth of just UI fixes and going through and cleaning up things. But also, Dwarf Fortress is a very, very deep game where the amount of fat on a dwarf determines how well they burn, for example.
Huh. Yeah, this is nowhere near that in-depth. It's, you pick your classes and you have them do the jobs, and, the farmer, each class as they get better, they, their job gets, they yield better and better results, so.
Yeah, and I think we're boring everyone else.
I see this. Okay, well, I'll sum it up by saying it's a nice little game to kind of as a time waster. I can see a lot of potential in it, and they still are planning on doing multiplayer to it, which I haven't actually read up too much on, but depending on how they do it, it's going to be kind of interesting.
Hasn't it been in early access for a couple of years now?
Just looking through the stuff, it's been at least a year.
I mean, it looks cute. Like I said, it's actually in the curated portion of my wish list. I mean, there might have been a good sale on it at one point, but I missed it.
It caught my attention. I saw Red Panda playing it the other day, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I put it on my wish list, and then I just went on a splurge and bought it.
According to Steam Enhanced, its lowest price was $15, and that was when it was in the Humble store. So it's never gone on a cheap enough sale for me to purchase.
I'm pretty sure it was on a bundle at one point when it was pre-early access, when it was still in Greenlight. At least I think it's a Greenlight game. Or maybe I'm thinking of a game that has a very similar name, because that's the problem, is that there's a lot of games that has very similar names in in the town building genre.
Yeah.
So I may be mistaken and think of it another game, but on the Groupies bundle that I missed out on.
Cool. What else did you play?
Basically enough Star Trek Online to realize that I'm still not quite having fun with it, and there was a reason why I quit. So enough to be said about that. It's interesting, just kind of not the. My ship is nowhere near strong enough to be soloing right now, so that's kind of where I'm at. I die multiple times on missions, and just gets kind of irritating.
Well, it wasn't that I hit a stone wall in that. It's just I realized that I needed a fleet to have fun, and I didn't want to put forth the time to join essentially a raiding fleet. And all the casual fleets. There's a very big divide between the more casual fleets just flying around and the fleets out doing shit.
Yeah.
And the thing is that between the podcast and the YouTube channel, that eats up a lot of time.
Yeah, and I got bounced out of the last good guild or fleet that I was in, just because it was like a year before I came back. I was so inactive so long, they're just like, yeah, never mind, you're not worth it. So
Yeah.
I just whenever I play, I just do a lot of role playing. Like I actually keep a captain's log, and like I explore the,
So
the
you
missions.
only play from
like,
the bathroom?
pretty much, yeah. But I mostly just do the player created missions and do that stuff.
There is some really interesting player created content in Star Trek. The thing
Yeah.
is that it's finding the diamond in the rough because,
yeah, someone's pretty nasty. I've done some good ones, but I mainly just work through the actual storyline because I figure that's the best where the best content is. So
yeah, and I got through essentially the first season of the story, and the thing is that I started playing way too late, so there was like 5 or 6 seasons of content, and because I wandered off and kind of did my own thing for a while, I got way over leveled. So going through the story content, there was no challenge to it, and that seems to be a lot of what was going on there. Was that it was also a challenge on top of the story, and whenever you're able to just start shooting Klingons and have them instantly vaporize, doesn't exactly have the tension that it once did.
That means you're doing it right.
well,
Chmis,
yeah,
you still awake over there?
Yeah.
that's kind of same boat as me. Like I'm so far behind. I'm still going through the Delta Quadrant stuff, which is like season 10, I think.
And also,
or 9, or up to 12 already.
And also, I was using it was a seasonal ship that was far, far better than what I was using, and kind of replaced everything for ages. And
was it the Breen?
No, it wasn't the Breen. There was when I was playing, one of the new episodes came out, and if you completed it within a certain amount of time, you got the ship. I think I can actually get you a.
Is it the
screenshot
carrier?
of it. No, it wasn't the carrier. It was
Okay.
It was
Because I used that one for a
cruiser,
long time.
if I recall correctly.
Because I
I
need
just got my Galaxy class going on my made up Star Trek episodes.
I need to just go back to my my super rare elite ship that I had managed to acquire. I have one of the Cardassian cruisers. I just go back and beef that thing up again because I loved flying that one around. I just had it loaded up with just all beams, no nothing, no torpedoes, no nothing, just straight up beams to go broadside with.
God dang it! Now I want to go play Star Trek. I haven't played it in a little while.
You know,
Few months. I haven't reinstalled it since I had to replace my hard drive. But now I'm going. I want to install that and go play it.
I have several characters on all different level sizes. We can link
Well,
up.
if I didn't have to edit the podcast tonight, I'd do that tonight. Maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, for me, it's most likely just going to be more RimWorld.
Chmis, how do you feel about Star Trek? I don't remember you. I didn't delve into the
magic is
entire
stupid.
argument,
Uh,
so I don't know if you talked about Star Trek.
Horrible
yeah,
magic system.
The only thing that I said that I prefer Star Trek over Star Wars.
Yeah, but that doesn't say much when it comes from you.
I'm a pretty big Trekkie. Me and my mom both are. Like, that's one of our shared points of interest, which is why we have a good mother-son relationship. We both like MMOs. We both like Star Trek.
Okay, this is
It's
going to be interesting.
yeah.
Which
It's a
Star
very
Trek?
yeah.
Which
Continue.
Star Trek series?
That's tough. Generations is definitely my favorite. Like, hands down, Star Trek Generations is my favorite. After that, probably Voyager, which is pretty controversial for people. Deep Space Nine and the original series are pretty close for me, and then Enterprise is at the bottom. But I still like Enterprise.
Yeah, I would say. Well, my favorite was actually Deep Space Nine myself.
A lot of people's
it has-
favorites is Deep Space Nine.
It has a lot of really good one-off episodes, but it also has that overarching story that's done really, really well.
Yeah.
Then Next Generation, then it starts to really fall off. Voyager, I like some episodes, but it also has some really, really bad episodes. And the fact
Voyager's, yeah.
And it's also the fact that they couldn't really seem to decide what Janeway was going to be. So she almost came off schizophrenic at times.
I really like Captain Janeway. Voyager definitely is pretty inconsistent episode wise, but I love Janeway.
Yeah, but
she's
that was
one of my
problem.
girls.
Was that just how inconsistent that character was?
Well,
If they wrote it where it made a little bit more sense of why she was so inconsistent, where it was more apparent where she was under so much stress, because she obviously was.
I was going to say,
it would make
like,
a lot
that,
more sense, but still,
that's kind of what I would read into it. I mean, I
well,
wonder
also,
if we had a mental health expert around to discuss this with.
Yeah,
but I would almost imagine
but I haven't idled out any Steam trading cards lately. I actually need to go do that.
No, in all honesty, I mean, I would
sitting here. Fire up
I would
Idlemaster.
kind of.
Let's see what Idlemaster decides to idle.
Now, I would imagine that has, with my experience with some of my buddies and PTSD and all that kind of stuff, I would imagine that's kind of something that is a thing of, just
but they had it where
personality.
it made more sense. Well, and also the fact that if they made it where the episodes wasn't a complete reset after every single one. Personally, A Year of Hell should have been a season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't have had a reset on it.
And there's a phone going off in the background here. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I heard that, but it's okay. Our phones go off sometimes too.
Yeah, so I've only watched. I think
looks like Idlemaster decided that. Oh no, it never ends. Sorry,
Okay.
just saw that. Go ahead, Chmis.
I think I've only watched first 2 seasons of Enterprise. I don't think I've seen anything other. But yeah, as I've mentioned a couple times, I'm the type of guy who will read entire wikis. And I have read the entire wiki of Star Trek, and I find its universe pretty interesting, but it's very 60s, 70s. Just the whole idea of it. And also you can see how they keep redefining the same concepts. For example, the warp scale has changed at least 3 times.
Yeah, the warp scale is meaningless, basically.
Yeah, the warp scale is the speed of plot, essentially.
Yeah. I'm not even going into
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. I'm not even going into details how if you actually measure the distances and you see that the numbers were just pulled out of the ass. But at first, I think the warp scale went to infinity. Then they redefined it to go up to 10, where actual 10 was supposed to mean infinite speed, which is kind of weird. And they decided...
No. It means that you occupy all points of space at the same time, and then you turn into a lizard for some reason.
Because of infinite speed. If you have infinite speed, then you're everywhere.
You devolve.
Exactly. And they decided, if we're going at warp 9 and somebody else is going at warp 9.5, that doesn't sound really that impressive. Let's make them go at warp 30. So you can certainly see how they cannot make their minds up about anything, but I still kind of like it. It has some...
I would love to see... I love the Star Trek characters, but in a more realistic-esque universe, like a mixture of Star Trek and Star Wars. Where Star Wars, the characters are a little too over the top for me a lot of times. But I like the universe of Star Wars a lot more, at least what I've seen. Granted, I haven't dove into the books. I barely played the games. And I could hear you sitting there salivating, trying to introduce me to it.
Who? What? Or what?
I love the Star Wars extended universe. I'm pretty well versed in both Star Wars and Star Trek, the extended their books and things, and I'm much more on the side of Star Wars for the extended universe because of the storytelling. I just feel like their better stories are told in the Star Wars extended universe.
Yep.
As for what's up on screen, it's kind of a toss-up. Some things I like better Star Trek, some things I like better Star Wars. But when it comes to like the books and the games, Star Wars wins almost every time for me.
Same here.
Even though it's not my favorite sci-fi, but I'm not even a huge fan of the original series, but Wrath of Khan is way up there for me. But it's hardly even this is going to sound really weird, but bear with me on this. It's hardly even a space movie. It's almost like they're into submarines.
Yeah, that the fight at the end in the nebula. Yeah.
That's a fight that we haven't really seen anywhere else in, well, at least the Star Trek universe. I don't want to talk about the Star Wars universe, but just because I don't have enough experience with it to know if there's been one like it. But that's that's a unique fight for Star Trek. And the only other one I can think of they really changed things up was the very last Next Generations movie, where they rammed them.
Yeah. No, there's in Star Wars lore, or in the Star Wars extended universe, there's a battle that pretty much, at least in my opinion, rips off the fight from the Wrath of Khan. It's in Clone Wars Ghost when the Carrion Spike fights the Admiral Tarantula. I can't remember his name. But that felt very much like that to me.
I think I know which one you're talking about. I'm a little fuzzy on it. I was trying to rewatch Clone Wars. Speaking of which, did you see that? I think they're getting ready to take it off of Netflix.
No, I didn't, but I finished the whole series. So that's fine.
I got a message saying that it's going to be over in like March, which stinks, but whatever.
We really need to get off.
Should we march right along to your next game?
Yes.
Yeah, we really need to get off of this discussion.
Yeah,
I'll make it. Finish the show.
I'll make the last one quick.
And the picture I put in Discord is very relevant right now.
I'm pretty sure we'll come back to it.
I'll make the last one quick. I also played Children of a Dead Earth, which I have had in my inventory for a long time and never really messed with. And it's interesting. I do like it a lot. It's hard, though. It's like KSP with weapons. But you have to actually do orbital mechanics and try and do intercepts or match orbits and connect with enemy ships, and then you have to try and maneuver to shoot them and not get shot, basically. So,
yeah,
as somebody,
it's really interesting.
Yeah,
there's a planetary warfare one that a turn-based fighting game that is somewhat similar, and I'm blanking on the name of it now. It's somewhere in my library.
Turn-based.
I know what you're talking about.
It doesn't have the orbital. Well, you don't have to match orbits, but you're launching.
It's
from one planet to another.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name of it. I'll look for it while you guys talk.
Well, so Children of Dead Earth. It's the storyline's pretty cool. It's kind of like 100 years or so in the future, and basically everybody decides that screw everyone else. We're just going to launch nukes and damn the environment.
Also, Trump.
Yeah, only if Trump, if like all the nations in the world had a space program already and people up in orbit, because that's basically what happens. Is everybody goes, screw it, we're going to nuke everyone, and we just screwed up. Oh well, who cares? There's plenty of other planets out there. Let's go rape and pillage materials from other planets. So it's not. Yeah, it's not really one of those situations where it's like, oh, we just screwed up. Let's all come together and not make sure this doesn't happen again. It's, yeah, these guys are a-holes because they started the nukes first, so we're going to make sure, we're going to try and steal as much stuff from them as we can, and, there's propaganda and corporations attacking corporations, and yeah. But
Interplanetary. That's the name of the game you were looking for.
But Atomics in Space,
searching on
so
Steam as well, and I found it just as you said it.
Yeah, I was scrolling through my games library because I know I had it. I played it a bit.
Interplanetary. I have to look that one up. I haven't.
Yeah, it's essentially Civ with orbital mechanics.
Yeah, you every planet in your solar system. Well, I mean, for every player, they have a planet on their solar system, or they have a planet in the solar system, and for some reason they go to this war with each other. And so you build massive rail guns and missile technologies and
I think Stargate is better. No, I like Star Trek. Star Wars.
And you try and blow up the other planet.
Firefly!
And you have to account for gravity and the movement of the planets, and so you can like set up trick shots or sometimes you can screw up.
Though, so it's not quite as you expect.
No,
and also, there's no light speed as well. So if you have a laser, it's point to point. There's no, having to account for lead time, which is a little disappointing to me.
Yeah, I'm watching the video right now. It's okay.
If I remember correctly, though, laser-based weapons do less damage the farther away you are.
Yeah.
So I tend to focus on projectile-based weapons.
Yeah, and also
they do the most damage.
The smart missiles, you're able to target directly instead of just having the missile hit wherever it lands.
Yeah, I've played a couple of games of this against real people on our friends list that have it, and I've won every game I've played. I mean, if you can get any of the super weapons, if you can get those before the other person, it's game over.
It's not balanced all that great.
No, it's whenever someone starts to take an early lead, it's really hard to come back from it.
And also, it really depends on where you spawn as well. Because if you're in a really defensible position, if you're the furthest planet out on the far side of the system, you have probably 20 turns before you're even in danger.
Yeah, and all of the orbits are perfectly circular. And there's nothing to interfere with your shots.
I would love to see in the second one of this, if they do a second one, have planets have actual tilts. On the orbits. So
you have to account for a vertical axis as well.
Yeah. So
yeah, that'd be cool.
So the planets have the tilt on their orbits. There could be planets that has non-circular orbits. And also, maybe have it where comets come in. And you could nudge the comet.
That's one of the super weapons, is you pull
have them already going.
Oh, okay. I got you.
But have it be a stable... have it generate a stable system where the comets won't interfere with anyone. But have it where you could shoot the comet and, it diverts its path, and then who knows what happens.
Yeah.
Unless you're Scott Manley, then you're able to plan out 20 turns ahead.
Right. Okay, well, Chmis, do you want to go next, since you're struggling to stay awake?
Chmis,
yeah,
wake
sure.
up.
Let me just be quick about it.
Wake up.
Okay, so first the two games that... Have I ever been on an episode and not talked about those two?
Pretty
I
sure
don't
not.
think I don't think you've always talked about Brawlhalla, but you definitely talk about Crypt of the Necrodancer every time.
The expansion.
Yeah, I think the first episode I was on, I didn't play Brawlhalla yet, but I do now. So I have talked about it so much. Let's just say what interesting happened since last time. I spent €10 on Valentine's on knockout effects, just so my opponents, when they die, they see a pair of... how do you pronounce it? Cherubs?
Cherubs, yeah.
Yeah, cherubs.
Pair of cherubs, just singing, and they have the face of whichever legend I'm playing, which motivates me to find the most stupid combinations.
This is why I love you.
Thank you.
Well, one of the reasons.
Oh, that's sweet. And also, I have kinda taken over team effort because our admin was really inactive and the whole thing was going to shit. So I went on a passive-aggressive rant, which was just everybody talking about how the leader was the one who's supposed to keep everybody in check, but he didn't even show up to the meetings for 3 weeks. Well, or if he usually did show up, just said, or not even said anything, just groaned and left. And he promised that, yeah, I will do much better from now on, and I snapped and just said, just give me admin rights. So
Nice, and he just gave it to you?
Yeah, I was...
Well, I'm pretty sure he grunted first.
Yeah. This is the type of situation when I know I'm either getting exactly what I wanted or I'm getting kicked out.
Oh, no, it's a monkey's paw. You think you're getting what you wanted, but it's corrupted somehow.
Yeah, I have been corrupted with power. And I love it.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, so that is pretty much the only interesting thing that happened. Also, right now I'm reading up the lore of the legend that released literally 3 hours ago. She's a reaper that specializes in different deities.
In different what?
Deities. Gods, etc.
Okay.
Well, that's
I'm
pretty
going to
cool.
pretend I know what that means.
Or deities. I guess both of them are correct. Your accent just made it hard to understand.
Well, that's a little
My own
rude,
fault for
Jared.
having. It's my own fault
Wow.
for having bad ears. Carry on.
Not really.
Hey, he speaks way better English than I speak any other language.
Yeah, I'm fluent in Polish, English, and sarcasm.
Okay, I can do sarcasm pretty well.
Oh, I just speak
Sure you
English
can.
and bad English.
Yeah, so as I've told many times over, I'm really into lore, and Brawlhalla lore, you wouldn't expect it to be any good, because unless you go specifically to the Legends screen to read about it, you would never see it, but I find it's really funny, especially, and not only funny but clever, how different legends tie in together. I once tried to graph their connections, and turns out that pretty much all of them are connected somehow. For example, there is one of the main legends, she's called Bryn, she's a half Valkyrie, and she's the daughter of one other legend, and also she brought in a cat lady and a minotaur to Valhalla just for shits and giggles.
Okay.
Yeah, so that would pretty much be Brawlhalla. I don't really have that much to say about Necrodancer either, except that I absolutely love the new DLC, but it's still in early access, so I'm limiting myself not to get burnt out on it.
Wait, DLC is in early access?
Yes, that is the Necrodancer model. Well, it's not really... I wouldn't really call it a DLC, because the amount of content, I would say, qualifies it for an expansion pack.
Okay.
But this type of...
Well, it's also Brawlhalla's a free play, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
thought you said that was for Crypt, or the Necrodancer,
sorry.
the DLC.
I moved on to Necrodancer.
Yeah, sorry. I kind of zoned out there for a moment.
Yeah, right now so we have one new character who's absolutely fucking broken. She is not even arguably, just objectively the easiest character to play, even easier than the basic one. Mostly because she can transform into Bat, which cannot use any items, but her attack deals 4 hearts of damage, so 4 times the usual, and also heals. and she can fly. And also, if you were to die normally as the just vampire normal form, you automatically transform into bat. So, and one more thing, she uses the new weapon. What was the name of it? I think Catalyst, which gives you invincibility on each beat you attack somebody. So as long as you are attacking a monster, you are invincible, which is absolutely broken. So I hope...
I don't know, that sounds like my kind of gameplay.
Yeah, actually, I think if you had trouble with Cadence, because Cadence starts with a dagger, and dagger is very difficult to play, mostly against monsters, mostly just positioning yourself. If you are on exactly 2 beats away, 2 steps away from a monster and it moves 1 beat, it's very difficult to be able to deal any damage. You have to somehow not move on a single beat, either by digging or attacking somebody, something else, etc. Cutlass, it acts as a sword, so it attacks 2 spaces forward, so that is no longer an issue. So, it being in early access, what it means, we have this one character, we have one completely new zone, which is based on electricity, and there are like little pathways. If you are standing on any pathways, you deal lightning damage. Well, it doesn't actually do any more damage, but it jumps from enemy to enemy. So if you have a group of enemies standing next to each other, you attack one of them, you attack all of them. Which is also just absurd. And that is pretty much it for that moment. There are a couple new items, couple new monsters, but everything else is getting added. Also a bunch of new music tracks, etc. So I would say, even though it's early access, if it were, many other games would push it as complete product. So it being in early access is not really a drawback, because I would say it's feature complete, but features will still keep on coming.
Right.
Yeah, cool. I still need to play Crypt of the Necrodancer myself.
Does the DLC cost money? I
yes.
assume? Okay.
It costs... I don't know the exact value.
Yeah,
but on the lower...
now. Hang on.
Yeah, but on the lowest discount...
it's pretty cheap, actually. It's only $7.
Yeah, $7, and you can get the base game. Base game very often is on 75% discount.
The thing is that there's a lot of different soundtracks here. Is it if you purchase one of the soundtracks, is that in the game as well, or is it just because? Yeah, that's a bit weird how they're doing this.
I believe all soundtracks are in game. Those DLC
they
just
split it up the soundtracks, which I'm not sure if I really like, because I'm looking at this. They have 4 different versions of the amplified soundtrack for the different artists.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a huge fan of that.
Yeah,
well, the base game has the extended soundtrack 2, and then the original soundtrack. So,
all this just music DLCs cost $40 or €40 together, and if all of them are in game, so you can pretty much just rip the files if you want to.
Yeah, true.
Yo ho, the pirate's life for me.
I usually treat soundtrack DLC as donations.
Yeah.
If I want to give the dev more money, I will buy it. Otherwise, I will not lose my sleep over listening on YouTube or Bandcamp.
Yeah. Okay. What you played one more game, didn't you?
Two more, actually.
Oh, 2 more. Okay.
So I have finally got to play Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes.
Okay.
Which is... It's an experience.
Yeah, it looks very, very interesting. But I think it's going to be one of those games that it feels like a game meant for streaming, to be perfectly honest.
Well, I have it. I got it as a gift from Jim at Christmas time. And just haven't played it yet. One, because I don't have a VR headset. I know you can play without one, but I don't have one, and that takes away some of the appeal.
I'd be interested in it. I don't have it yet, though.
Rachel, what do you mean by streaming game?
It's one of those games that I think the most enjoyment you could have out of it is watching two people try to solve all the puzzles together.
Oh yeah,
It's very much a spectator game, I think is the best way to put it. Just watching, especially people that you know, trying to deal with the bomb.
Is it only two players at a time? Or
No,
is it...
actually, no.
So
I've seen
first,
people do.
Let me maybe start by explaining what the game is actually about. So, this is interesting because it's multiplayer, but only one person is playing the actual game. So, the person who is playing the actual game sees the bomb. And bomb has many modules. Each module is kind of a puzzle. And there is also the manual that tells you explicitly how to solve each puzzle. The trick is the person who sees the bomb is not allowed to look at it. So we need to have other people and coordinate either via VoIP or just by them being in the same room, etc. And all the modules are designed to fuck with you in some way. For example, there is a module which contains different words. Many of the words sound exactly the same. So there is there, they are, as two words, the exact same thing, just spelled differently. There, what else? I think that is those four. Also, those words are the ones you would normally use for coordinating. So there is a keypad. Also, the words used are left, right, middle, top, next, wait, what. So you have to be very careful. Usually the solution is just to spell each one. So you can go through some of it just playing one diffuser, one expert. Expert is a person who has the manual. But at later levels you probably need more of them. And you have to figure out a way. Some of the modules you can just describe fully to somebody and move on to work with somebody else, and later that first person will provide you the solution. And there is a channel, I think his name is...
I've seen some of the videos that just one person describing to about 3 or 4 experts. And it's amazing to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
What I'd like to do
the channel
is next time.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is next time the in-laws are over, or we have some of our friends come over, we should print off the manual, and I'll do the bomb, and everyone that's here can fight over the manual and what to do.
Yeah, absolutely, do it. The more the merrier.
Well,
the channel name is
in-laws.
Yeah, the channel name is LT Chmis. And he usually plays with 3 or 4 other experts, and the coordination between them is amazing. Also, it's really fun.
Oh, go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
Also, it's quite fun how you start to develop different code words. So one of other module is keypads. You have 4 different buttons, and depending on which buttons you can see, there is a table on the orders they have to be pressed, and all of them look slightly weird. Let me just see if I can Google it in the meantime. There is at first you have to describe each symbol how it looks precisely, but later on you will just give it some code name. And LT Chmis specifically, I really like how one of the modules that he calls Kitty, just keys. And it's a random bunch of symbols. but everybody knows what a kitty is, so this works.
You're talking about this, and you're reminding me of a game that I'm reinstalling on my phone now. It's called Space Team. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Yeah, it's a similar idea. I've seen that.
Yeah, it's a very
similar
similar
idea.
idea.
But it's very similar. It's more cooperative, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because you have to bounce between several people, and I think one person doesn't even have to have a phone. They're sort of the captain, aren't they? Or am I
No,
thinking
it's what it is like everybody is part of the whole crew, and like things will randomly show up on, you'll have random orders show up on somebody's screen, and they have to shout out what it is because it's never part of their console. Well, no, I think sometimes it can be part of their little console.
That could be. If Jared could get BlueStacks working for an Android emulator, that would be hilarious to do over.
Yeah, I played it with
over stream.
I played it with my stepson one time, and because like nobody else that I know would stoop to my level and play a game like that, because they're all they're all above mobile gaming, but whatever. No, when I played it with him, and it was fun. It's just the problem is like some of the words are like, more than a fourth grader can handle, and I'd be shouting stuff, and then he'd be saying something. I'm like, that what? What is that word again? Let me see the screen. Oh, too late. Never mind.
Yeah, I've played it with a few friends before.
Yeah, Jared, get the
and it gets crazy.
Yeah, get BlueStacks working. We need to do this for stream night one time.
Because you get like 3 or 4 people that are actually halfway decent at it, and you get a run going for like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes.
I think it's
just
only
like everyone's
local
shouting
network,
over everyone else.
Yeah, I don't think you can do it like across the net. It's just either Bluetooth or local network.
Yeah, I think you can do it Bluetooth or Wi-Fi.
That's disappointing. I wasn't sure if you could do separated.
Yeah, make sure everyone's connected to the same Wi-Fi. Oh, okay, so I'm loading up
I
right
wonder
now.
if we could do a virtual LAN for that, actually.
I was going to say, we maybe could try virtual LAN if we could get it working.
Wi-Fi doesn't...
I don't know how bad the latency would be. That might cause a problem.
Well, I'm still waiting on GI Bill money, and when I do, there's going to be some disposable income, and I want to try and do what I was planning on doing over Christmas and give a bunch of you guys a copy of Artemis.
Uh-oh.
Yes,
so
I would love to do that.
Actually, there's another game.
I just let the cat out of the bag, but whatever.
I'm gonna have to go look for my through my wish list. It's essentially Artemis. It's in Steam Early Access right now, but it's supposed to be a bit deeper. I'm gonna go digging through my wish list for a bit.
Yes, please do.
Okay. Well,
Actually,
we've completely derailed Chmis, so let's let Chmis get back on track.
Chmis is just posting random things to the Discord, which, if you wish to join the Discord, it's in the show notes.
Yeah, so I posted the images on Discord because this is the easiest way. I can just copy-paste them. The first image is the kitty.
That does kind of vaguely resemble a cat.
The other one
the next one butthole?
And the next one may show something about me, but I see tits.
Looks like a butthole to me.
I see a pig's nose.
Everybody I've ever spoken to, they either call it an Xbox controller or boobs. So you're not wrong about it.
I can see both of those things.
Yeah,
Okay,
I just call it boobs because it's shorter. The third image is the list of the words.
Okay, that's not.
Your, her.
Exactly.
Can you imagine somebody with a bad accent?
Yeah.
Okay. Here it is. Here it is. Here is the game, and it also has away missions. So
yes, please.
I'm going to drop it into Skype chat, and maybe I'll remember to put it in the show notes as well.
And,
I have no idea how good this is. It's still in early
Pulsar.
access.
I'm familiar with it. I mean, I haven't played it, but I'm familiar
It's
with
supposed to
where
be.
it is.
It's supposed to be a lot like Artemis as well.
Yeah.
I think this is it, or maybe I'm still going through my.
Pretty.
It's supposed to have multiple players working on the same ship, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, each player assumes a role aboard the ship: captain, pilot, scientist, weapon specialist, and engineer. Coordination will be essential in order to survive the perils that await you. Control your stations, blah, blah, blah.
I have
Yada,
no idea
yada,
how
so.
good it is, but, alternatives.
Yep. Okay. You were saying, Chmis, about the last image?
Yeah, the last image is the part of the solution to one of the modules. It's a 4-bit Venn diagram, which looks kinda crazy. Until you learn that the original... that in the, I think, beta or even closed alpha, there are actually 7 different informations. You need to solve it. So originally it was a 7-bit Venn diagram, which I am posting right now.
Jesus.
That
So
thing
they-
is crazy.
Yeah.
I can't even see it all. But
That looks like it should be a star chart, like a sci-fi star chart,
I like
not
my-
a Venn diagram.
I stand by what I said. Well,
Yeah,
sorry,
pretty much.
you're going to die.
We have died many times over. Well, I have.
No.
I'm the one defusing the bomb. Yeah, the 4-bit one is readable after you get used to it, but 7-bit, that's insane. So that is what actually the letters mean in the actual diagram. So those are conditionals. C is always cut, S is cut if the serial number, I think, has even number, P is cut only if there is parallel port, etc. That is what the extra 3 bits originally represented. So I am kinda happy that the devs decided not to be so evil.
Yeah, give us half a chance.
Yeah, so I have played first with one friend, the Hattori Scrub. We went through the first set of basic bombs. Then I played with another guy, also one-on-one. We went through the first 2 sets. The second set is a huge dig, because it has, I don't know what they're called in game, like annoyances. For example, the lights went out and you cannot see anything for 15 seconds, or the alarm goes off, so you have to set down a bomb and go to silence the alarm, which is, I imagine, even more terrifying in VR. Fortunately or unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to play it in VR, but I'd rather not to. Just the sense of dread when you hear the music changes, which means you only have 30 seconds left, and you see you're not going to make it, is kinda nice.
That's when you look at the door, it's like, can I get far enough away in time?
You just rip out all the wires at once. It worked on Castle.
that picture you put up reminds me of something here I'm going to put up in Discord. Yeah, there you go.
What did you? Oh,
That was a slide we actually had to read in train up for deployment.
interesting.
I
It made
think
sense to
somebody
somebody.
is going to
Detailed
explode.
flowchart.
It made sense to somebody. They've never seen combat in their life, but you know.
Yeah,
obviously they grew up near the site of a spaghetti factory explosion.
Yeah.
Spaghetti factory in Factorio. My
as a
spaghetti
computer
factory.
scientist,
Ayo.
I really dislike
That's a segue.
flowcharts.
That is a segue, Chmis. I see that your
Yeah.
last game is Factorio. I'm
Yeah, get us out of
segueing
here,
you.
please.
No.
Well, all right
just
then. I
need-
guess that's it for this week. Bye, guys.
And as the
Okay.
music,
Okay, so last game is Factorio. I'd rather not talk about it too long. First, because we are already an hour into recording, and also I'm already dreaming of inserters.
Oh
Oh
my!
my!
I mean,
You're rubbing off on
I
me,
also
Rage.
have Factorio talk to talk about, so I mean, if you're gonna pass, I'll segue to next, and we'll make Rage go last this time.
You guys can geek into it together.
What's that,
your
bathroom
first game
break
is
for me then?
Factorio, so we can kind of talk about it together if you want to.
Okay, sure.
It's like
Rage, you
a segue
said
of
something, but
segues.
I didn't hear
I
what
was
you
saying,
said.
what, bathroom break for me then?
Sure. You really need to go take one. Yeah, so you go ahead and start, Chmis, since we're still on you, and I'll chime in, and unless you
Okay.
don't really have anything to start with.
Or do we want to save it for next month? Because I have a feeling we're going to be talking about it next month as well.
Hey, I'm trying, man. I tried. I've made my vote.
You
Who knows?
it's
There's still
just-
time left for them to save you, Rage.
Not
Yeah.
that I don't like Factorio, but
Ghost, you're just a newcomer. You'll get
Or I
used
could,
to it.
or I could just abstain.
You know,
I don't-
third recording in, you will take 2 hours to talk about one game. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Factorio, for whatever reason, I decided it's a good idea to wake up at 03:30 and play with the rest of the guys. And then I went to
Yeah.
sleep, I woke up and opened spreadsheet and started calculating optimal layouts. Which is... this is the type of game where I spend more time actually outside of it, calculating everything done in-game, implementing. And fortunately, because we played multiplayer, I am now not that interested in single player, which is the only reason why I can take time off for the podcast.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
that is pretty much me.
I mean, I test stuff in the game, which is not the most efficient way to do it. That's part of the fun. So, yeah, I tried a full main bus layout this past week, and I hate it. If I followed one of the guides, I know it would work better, but like I said, part of the fun for me is testing it myself. There's just not enough flexibility in a main bus for me.
Yep.
I mean, I assume if you set it up perfectly following one of the guides, it would work amazingly, probably more efficiently than bots, because there's no lag time. Even with maximum upgraded bots, you know, whenever a requester chest sends out a request for something, you have to wait for a bot from somewhere, or multiple bots, to go pick it up and bring it to the chest. So, less efficient. But, I mean, if you make a mistake with the main bus, or if you ever want to expand later, it's like, well, I can't really do that without tearing up the whole thing and doing it again. Or creating weird spaghetti legs. And that's... main bus is supposed to avoid that, so... I don't really like main bus very much. I did come up with some optimizations for early factory gameplay, or early Factorio gameplay, streamlining certain products better off of the experiment, but I'm still a drone guy most of the way.
Yes, you do drone on and on.
Yeah, I do. And then the other thing that I did was I have been messing with level generation, and I turned the water all the way to max, so there was tons of water everywhere, and have decided to try and build like an island base on the water. In the game where I specifically am trying to do that, mistakes were made. I split my base too soon, and it caused a huge production lag. So where I normally should be at after 7 hours of gameplay on the map, I'm only like 2/3 of the way there, because I'm having to do a lot of manual carting and adjusting things to get my blue science working properly. And I don't have robots yet to do it for me, so I'm kind of just wasting a lot of time. But I didn't want to drop it because I knew I could fix it if I could just get past it, so I've kept playing. I went with the groove method of base defense. So my entire main base is just surrounded by turrets with...
Yep.
a turret
I
every
played
3
with
months.
him for a little while. So I've joined a game that he's running with some of his friends, and they are running a main bus game, which is, I would say, the setup they had. It was obviously not their first attempt, so they have it figured out. So, but the problem is, it only works if you plan everything perfectly. They
Right.
they had the layout where they have the base resources. You branch off them, go into factories, then bring those manufactured products back in. However, if you are trying to adjust something, it is pretty much impossible. For example, I wanted to branch out at some place into storage chests, because before that they didn't really use. They only use robots for repairs, mostly for their defenses. And yeah, it was just one layer of gun turrets, as tight as possible. Behind that, another layer of laser turrets. So if occasionally I would see just alert saying 70 turrets are engaged with enemy. It was just one single enemy.
Yeah.
If you were standing too close to that, you were deaf.
Nice.
Yeah, so
My,
I wanted to hook up a little bit of logistic networks just for personal supplies, and I needed to siphon out of it. I managed to hook everything up, even with circuit network, so you could set limiters of how much was siphoned out. A couple minutes later, nothing is working. I wonder why. Oh, Groove just bulldozed everything because he needed to change something.
Nice. Yeah, my island that I've built has a 15, or is it 6? I think it's 15 tile wide entrance with one set of train tracks that lead in and out, or a pair of parallel tracks, and it's guarded by sort of what's layered defenses. So there's machine gun turrets at the front that right now they're just chests stocked with the ammo, and then behind those are laser turrets, and then behind those are flamethrower turrets because they have the longest range. So I have just these different layers of defense, and so far nothing's gotten past it. And then my main base is just a wall of turrets. I'm not using electric inserters though. I'm using burner inserters. That way it's in no way tied to the power grid. So when I screw up and kill my power, which has happened a few times, I don't have to worry about it.
You mean for the ammo supply?
Yeah, the ammo supply. It's one side of the belt is red clips, so the second level of turret ammo, and then the other side of the belt is coal.
Yeah,
and so the burner inserters
sense.
just pick up the coal to feed themselves, and then ammo and feed it into the turrets. I mean, it is possible they could be overwhelmed because the burner inserters are slow, but I mean, I intend to abandon this base at some point anyways.
For whatever reason, at my first or second game, I thought you could get just alien purple thingies. What's the name?
The alien artifacts?
Yeah, alien artifacts you could get also from just killing aliens, not just bases. So I hooked up a farm where I put gun turrets around some alien bases, which unfortunately didn't give me any artifacts, but did give me, I think, 100,000 kills, which was which would be nice for achievement or something, but mostly was just waste of ammo.
Yeah. Okay, well, I can see from the chat that we are boring Rage to death.
No, this is just getting to the point where Dark Souls is for me already, where I haven't even played the game all that much, and I'm fucking exhausted of it. So I am very close to just the next game club abstaining.
Yeah, I've only played Factorio. First I played 10 hours. When I first learned about it, I played 10 hours of demo. Then I played 30 hours of on a pirated copy. Then I bought it, played maybe 5 hours, and got bored of it. And I haven't played it since. And that was 2.5 years ago. I think it was when you could still buy it for €10 on just their website. Long before multiplayer, long before Steam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've played Factorio for 225 hours, so...
Well,
I've
feels
got
like
my...
I've been listening to it for that long.
Right.
I have just...
Audience members,
just
save
20
Rage from
yeah.
Factorio.
I have
I'm
just
serious.
20 hours.
I don't think I'm gonna do Factorio.
Holy
Because
crap,
what will I do?
I didn't
What did you
realize.
say, Rage?
I'm honestly sick of Factorio.
Ghost was your in-game time?
187.
I have
For
just...
Factorio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have just 20 hours, which is not that impressive. But it was just 3 sessions. 2 of them overnight, so yeah, I think I got my time last week.
Well, part of my problem is like I love the automation stuff, and I'll just sit and stare at.
Did he just cut out for you guys too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering what happened.
Nice. We'll give him a second to come back. Do 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 do. I love you, Rage. I'm sorry you don't like Factorio. Oh, we lost him.
I'm just trying to decide what game to do for the game club then.
We can
Well, I mean,
just cut out him out of the recording. Maybe no one will notice.
Oh,
Well, while we give him a moment, I'm going to step away.
sure.
Yeah, I'll go
Now
on the
might be a
buffer
good
break.
time to take in. Yeah.
Yeah, you were saying something about how you like to stare just at the factory.
Yeah. So I'll build something and then just watch all the automation running, and that's where a lot of my time goes into the Factorio game. It's just I'll sit there and stare at it and watch it all work. I don't know. I'm kind of weird, but
There's a lot of really nice animations in the game. I mean,
yeah.
they put a lot of effort into it. Because I mean, you know, the way that the game looks and is set up, they could have just kind of been like, well, you know, these are stills and it's fine. You get what they're supposed to be doing, but no, there's a lot of gears and cogs and wheels and pistons and all kinds of things that you can watch.
Yep. But like I said, I more of my time in there is just watching everything cranking out materials rather than actually progressing. So, whatever. It is what it is.
Okay. Well, we'll move on from Factorio. I'll go and just go through the rest of mine. Lifeline. So I've talked about the Lifeline series before. They're a series of sort of choose-your-own-adventure type games where that you are somehow, based on whatever game it is, connected to the main protagonist in an adventure story. And they talk to you and ask for your advice, and depending on which story it is, sometimes you have a little more direct control over what they do, and sometimes a little less. There's 7 Lifeline games in total, and 6 of them are definitely in the same universe. And then one of them, we're not sure, we as in like the community who play this, we're not sure yet if one of them is or not. But anyways, over the last few months, they've released 3 new games. And I always like to wait until there's at least a couple of them to play. And then I'll play them back to back for a week or two. Excuse me. And there happened to be a third one came out when I was getting ready to play these. So I've been playing all 3 of them. Crisis Line. So they've started expanding the things that are in the game. Crisis Line is a murder mystery story. And you're working with a detective, so there's a lot of elements about doing interviews and crime scene investigation. It's not exactly like it's still just a complete text interface, but you'll get to talk about crime scene details and what you think is important, and ask suspects questions based on what you think. And the detective that you're working with like takes your advice, and he'll do what you say, unless it's just like a really bad idea. A couple times he's been like, "No, you're an asshole. I'm not going to say that to them. You're crazy." But so that's fun. And it again is linked to the interesting sci-fi universe where Lifeline originally came from. And it's building on the lore some more. It's a direct sequel to the second Lifeline game, actually. So that's fun. Then Lifeline Flatline is a horror game set in the same universe, and you have the character that you're talking to, you have access to their vital signs. And so, what?
Sorry, go ahead. I realize this is a game that I've played. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, you have access to their vital signs, and you can help talk them down and get them through like difficult situations. And if you screw up or say things that panic them, like they start to freak out and their heart rate will go crazy, and they might make mistakes and hurt themselves. And so that's interesting. I'm not very far in Flatline. Flatline actually has a lot of downtime compared to the other ones, so I don't feel like I'm very far in the story, but I might be farther than I think I am. So far, I haven't died in Crisis Line or Flatline, but I'm sure I will. You know, you always make mistakes and die, and when you do, it lets you go back, and you can try and change your decision and see how far back you have to go before you get off the track where you die. But so Flatline is interesting. It's not very scary, but I think that's the point. Like, it's a horror game that's not scary to you because you're not there, and they can only communicate with you through text. But it adds an interesting layer to it, because without the emotion of verbal communication, sometimes I'm like, well, I could say this, and in my head it sounds like I'm trying to be comforting, but then like when you text it out, it's like, what are you talking about? That's really insensitive. And it's like, no, but wait, you know, I have no way to convey inflection to you.
Can
so
you
it's
use
interesting.
emoticons?
No, you cannot.
I would just use poop emoji all the time.
Oh my god, I hear something coming down the hall. What should I do? Poop emoji. Actually, that might be fitting, though, because, you know, you shit your pants. And then the last one is called Halfway to Infinity. It's the third game in the original Lifeline storyline, with the main character in that, his name, the name is Taylor, and you never find out what gender they are, because Taylor's kind of gender neutral. And so it carries on with all of the crazy sci-fi stuff that you've been doing in those two games. And it has like a time loop and an alternate dimension, and you can get caught in a time loop, and you have to figure out how to break it. It's interesting stuff. I got stuck repeating the same thing for way, way too long. Like, no matter what solution I tried, I got stuck repeating the same thing, which was a little bit frustrating, but I like Taylor the best. Taylor's like this nerdy teenager with tons of references to all kinds of nerd culture, so it's fun. Has a lot of good song recommendations in it, actually. There's this one point where Taylor's trying to sleep, and Taylor's found this playlist on the ship that you're on called Lonely Space Songs or something like that, and it's 15 actual songs that Taylor encourages you to go listen to on YouTube. That's one thing that these three games have done a lot more compared to the first four, is they encourage you to do a lot more research and interaction outside of the game. Crisis Line is set in Austin, Texas, and Alex, the detective, is like telling you like, yo, you should Google this and see what it looks like, or you should Google this view, or you should Google, you know, whatever. And he asks you questions that, I mean, you could just happen to know, but I've had to Google several things to answer the questions. And,
so
you know,
it has elements of ARG, right?
Yeah, it does.
I always find the concept of it interesting, but most of the games I've tried did not do it well at all. Especially since if the game is any popular, you Google something, the first thing you notice is the walkthrough of the game.
Yeah, so far that actually hasn't happened because a lot of the things that you're Googling are really generic at first. Like, okay, so in Crisis Line, one of the things you have to, well, I mean, you don't have to, but one of the things that Alex asks you to do is to figure out how long a flight takes, because he wants to know if he has enough time to go do something before he has to meet this person. And so I just Googled, like, how long a flight was from Houston to Austin, Texas. And it pulled up, listings of flights. It's like, I don't want to buy a ticket. I had to go. It sounds weird. It's like I had to go through the hassle to figure out how long it actually took the flight to be. But it was just really interesting. Like, oh, this game has compelled me to go do something and come back and report to him. They do a really good job with that. The first 2 games don't have any of that at all, unless you want to look up something just to, like, because you're curious about it. Because the first game is sci-fi, so it's got some space stuff in it that you might have to look up. And then from game 3 on, they start adding little elements, and Crisis Line in particular has quite a few. Halfway to Infinity had one too, where you had to look up what kind of fire extinguisher was used to fight what kind of fire.
Do they all do that kind of thing where it's like you get so much time between conversations?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
I know, like Lifeline,
yeah.
You talk to him for a little bit, and he's like, "All right, cool, I'm gonna go take a nap," and then like you didn't hear from him for a few hours.
Yeah, it does
so
have that.
Okay, that was kind of cool.
I
like that.
hate it.
You can turn it off.
That's.
I don't know if
nice.
they went back and updated it, but the original Lifeline doesn't have that option until you lose. But all of the rest of them, you can change it to what's called fast mode right off the bat, and it removes the waiting between stuff.
Because I can see how it's compelling, but if I want something to do and the game would tell me, okay, just see you in 3 hours, I would be slightly annoyed.
Yeah. I like
tried
it.
one of them, and they said, "Oh, well, I'm going to go to sleep now," and it's right when I was awake, so it just kind of
yeah. It can be frustrating for sure, but as someone who's big on storytelling, I really like it, because it's like, well, okay, that makes sense. He's going to go take a nap because he's tired from fighting for his life for whatever. Yeah, I'll let him take his nap and go do something else.
I think
But
there was
I
a
totally
game
understand.
I looked at that had elements of real time. So some events you could only solve at specific time, but it didn't let you choose your time zone. Which
Are you
means
talking-
you couldn't actually beat the game unless you woke up in the middle of the night, because the only time zone it could use is US East.
Are you talking about
Seems
that
like
arcade
design
game?
oversight.
I have no idea what the
Or
game
that
is.
mobile game? I played a mobile game a few months ago that had that. It was like you were in a chat room and stuff would happen, and you'd have to use the premium currency if you missed the actual conversation to go back and participate in it. Mystic Messenger. That's the name of the game that I'm talking
I've
about.
heard about it on Co-optional, but I didn't look at it.
Okay, so I guess a game similar to that then. There's been several of these popping up. I've actually tried a couple of others, but they're very poorly translated from other languages, and they don't work very well. Lifeline is at least, for me, yay, English as the primary language that they're produced in. But the other ones I've tried have been like Russian, or I think one was Dutch, and the English translations were terrible.
Ooh, I might know that one.
So, but yeah, those are the Lifeline games that I've been playing. So they're a lot of fun. And then the last game that I played this week, aside from If My Heart Had Wings, but can't talk about that till Game Club, is Executive Command, which is a little mobile game, and there's one for each branch of the U.S. government. And they are learning games, which I didn't realize at first until I started playing it, but it was actually pretty fun, and it doesn't take very long to do a full playthrough, which is a single presidential term. And what you do is you pick a president, and there's a whole bunch of ones you can choose from. They're just like pictures or avatars, white man, white woman, Hispanic woman, Asian. I picked Asian woman. But anyways, you pick a policy that is like your thing, and mine was clean energy. And so your main goal is to push that policy and get it passed by the end of your presidential term, or get legislation passed to do what you want with it by the end of your term. but you also have to deal with other things like there's a war that happens, so you get to experience being the president during a time of war, and then you have to deal with like the legislative branch and laws and all sorts of things, and it just throws different scenarios at you that you have to complete. And you have to deal with foreign policy and like, do you send the Secretary of State or do you go yourself? And it's actually pretty fun and really informative. Like, it starts off really, really easy and like walks you through each of the different types of scenario that the game is gonna throw at you. And it's like, oh, this is a bad part of a bill, you should veto it because this part is bad, and maybe they'll bring it back to you revised so you can try again. And as you get farther into your term, it starts throwing more and more stuff at you at once.
Does it have any complexities as to where you have to decide whether the bill is actually good or bad for you? Or is it always obvious? You just have to spot it.
It starts off really obvious and you just have to spot it, but some of them towards the end get tricky. And then if you play a second time through, it gives you the option to play in what's called fast mode, which it throws a lot more stuff at you at once and is a lot more nuanced and complicated.
Yeah, but
so
is there always a correct choice? What I'm getting at.
No. Some of them are very clear right and wrong choices, but towards the end, once you've got your feet wet and you know what you're doing, some of them don't seem so correct.
We want to nuke Canada.
Well, there's nothing like that, but
well, we
like,
make it that in real life.
For example, one of the bills it throws at you has to do with what's, I don't know if you know this, Chmis, the ROTC program in the United States, which is a military
officer training candidate school.
Yeah, and are only high school students able to be in ROTC, Ghost?
High school is JROTC. College is the actual ROTC. Because once you graduate from college, you have a commission in the military.
Right. Okay. Well, one of the bills that I got, I don't know if like these are randomly generated or if there's just like a pool that it pulls from, but it had two things that had to do with the ROTC, and neither of them were necessarily bad, but neither of them were necessarily good either. And I wound up vetoing the bill because it felt very ultra-nationalist to me, almost not quite like the Nazi youth, but I was kind of getting that vibe from it. And it wasn't like, oh, you do what?
Hitlerjugend?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it didn't like be like, oh no, you made the wrong choice. You should have not vetoed this, or you should have. It was like, okay, you decided to veto this bill because of this portion, and you can choose like the portions of the bill that were the reason you vetoed it. And I vetoed it because of the one that felt kind of like the Nazi use or the Hitler use. And it was like, okay, you chose to veto the bill because of this. Good for you. But if you're, for example, if one of the things you could choose was like to build a stronger military presence in the country, like that might have been something that you would have picked to further your agenda. So it doesn't really hold your hand with that stuff. After the first couple, and it's like, okay, you know what to do with this. Now we're just going to start giving them to you.
Okay. That sounds interesting.
It's pretty nuanced.
Executive command?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds pretty interesting, yeah.
There's one for the judicial branch of the United States government and the legislative branch as well, but I haven't played those. I didn't discover them until after the fact, and there just wasn't enough time. I'll probably play those for next week, though.
When you first started to talk about, I thought it's another Trump versus Hillary disco beatdown game.
Yeah, it showed
there's been a lot of those.
Yeah.
It showed up on like the new and trending Google Play apps, and I looked at it, and at first glance, that's what I thought it was too. But I decided to actually check it out, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
There's actually a web page for it.
Yeah. As long as it's not trying to push any agenda of its own, then I really like the type of it, the type of these games.
Yeah. I only played through it twice. I played through it once in normal mode and once in fast mode. I didn't feel like it was trying to push an agenda either time. Really, I was the one who was pushing the agenda. The first time I went for clean energy, and so that was the agenda I was pushing. Like every time I had to give the address the nation in some way or another, I always like slid clean energy in there. Although that's pretty simplistic. Whenever you have to give the State of the Union address and speak to Congress, those are pretty simplistic. I was kind of disappointed in that, but I always like slid clean energy in there. And
Can
then the
you
second
push
one,
gay agenda?
I don't know. I don't.
Then
I'm looking at it
not
right now.
interested.
I don't know.
Deficit. Choose your agenda: deficit reduction, energy, education, youth, health, and security.
Okay, so no, you can't.
Yeah, it's a web browser game too. So I'm looking at
Interesting.
the iCivics website, iCivics.org.
Yeah, it's free. There's no ads. Like, it's just an educational game.
Yeah, it did ask me
It's
to
neat.
join so I could like save progress, but
It's really short. You can play through a whole thing in or a whole term in about a half an hour.
yeah, cool.
So, those are all the games that I played this week. On to you, Rage.
Ugh.
Poke, poke, poke,
what?
poke.
Sorry, you kind of put me to sleep with Factorio. Oh,
Uh-huh.
well. Okay, let's see. First up was actually, I think, a failed Sunday sampler that I did. Satellite Repairman. It's one of those games I like the concept of, but they were throwing so much so fast. It's essentially a tower defense game with some light orbital mechanics in it. It's interesting, but at the same time, they just throw so much. My main problem with it, well, first of all, is that you're having to build so much for each satellite, and that's the only way that you can see incoming missiles for your tower defense portion of the game. And there's just such a slim time frame on everything. It's hugely timed. It's just one of those things that if they slowed things down and made it where you didn't have, I would say, 30 seconds to spare for to try to save yourself, I would have had a lot more fun with it. It feels a lot like a mobile game, to be perfectly honest, just the way everything is built around it.
It's kind of interesting looking little art style.
Yeah, it's interesting, and you can see why it feels like a mobile game. Everything has these big icons, and it's very, very time based.
Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about, the planet with it being circular underneath you. I get what they're going for, but
yeah, you're walking,
I feel like I would
you're
get
able
disoriented.
To, you're able to walk around the entire planet, and all the buildings that you build that produce things, they're on a particular coordinate on the planet. So something on essentially the North Pole, for lack of a better term, even though it acts more like you're walking around the equator. It will say that the factory has finished producing a satellite at 0 degrees. So you have to realize where that 0 degrees is in relation to you. And it does eventually go to other planets. You can see in the screenshots it's on the moon at one point. But they don't really change all that much. It's essentially what they're throwing at you from everything that I could tell.
Yeah.
And the fact that you basically jetpack up, you cling to a satellite, and you install things on it. It's it's a little disconcerting, to be honest. And, well, like I said, the big thing that broke it for me was that, okay, in order to get a satellite to the point where you could try to protect yourself, this is assuming that you have a ground station in play, which some levels have them, some levels don't. You have to produce a satellite at the factory. Then you have to tell the factory to produce the modules for it, the radio module and the radar module. You have to collect all of those, jetpack up into orbit, make sure that you're still in comms range for for your ground station, deploy the satellite, then dock with the satellite, and install the modules. And then you have your eyes on the sky, and you're able to see the missiles incoming. And this is, of course, assuming that you also have a defense system on the ground as well. If you don't, you have to get your factory to make a defensive missile turret and deploy that somewhere where it's able to protect your ground buildings. But at the same time, you have to make sure that your satellite doesn't go further around the orbit where it's no longer protecting you. You can see why it's a little bit like they throw a little too much at you too quickly.
Yeah, this UI doesn't seem very intuitive either. At least from
it's
the
very
video and screenshots.
Yeah, it is very clunky on how you're handling everything. You have to essentially enter the factory, and then it has a menu pop up to say, Okay, you want to build a satellite. Well, and from what I could tell, there was no way to really go back in the menu. So it was very easy to tell the factory to start building something that you don't need, and then you're kind of stuck with it.
Right. Okay.
It's an interesting concept, but it's just flawed.
Yeah, it looks really interesting, and it's not very expensive, but I don't think I'd pay $4 for this game.
No.
If it had a I think this would be a good game to have a demo for.
Well, you can see why I was thinking it feels a lot like a mobile game.
Yeah. It definitely looks like a mobile game. I don't feel like this would play at all on a touchscreen.
Honestly, it doesn't play all that well with a mouse and keyboard.
Did you try it with a controller? It's a full controller.
Yeah, I did, and it doesn't help. Because everything is in the menus controlled by the D-pad. It just wasn't fun. Just a concept that I like, but it just bundled.
Yeah, good concept, poorly executed.
Yeah, so let's move on to another game that... this one, I have a little bit of mixed feelings about. I liked it overall. Gunmetal Arcadia. This is a retro-inspired roguelike. Drawing some inspiration from, like, Legend of Zelda 2, the side-scroller one.
Yeah.
Or really any very, very old NES platformer beat-em-up.
Yeah, my first thoughts were Castlevania mixed with Mega Man.
Yeah, which you're not wrong. But I went into this thinking it was a full platformer. I didn't realize it was a roguelite until I started diving deeper into it. And it is very, very interesting. Just they nail the art style and the audio perfectly. This is their second in the series. The first one, Gunmetal Arcadia 0. This is essentially an expansion pack for it, almost, from everything that I've been able to tell. It's a game I haven't played, the first one, or 0, or however you want to talk about it. But it's a lot of the same ideas. You're thrown into a dungeon, and it doesn't have a progression system like you would expect from other roguelike games, but it has what's called the legacy system, where your previous run impacts your next one. So on one run, you complete a quest, then the next run, you have a greater chance to see quest items for that particular person. If you join a particular faction, you have more chances to see that faction on your next run. But it's only for your next run. So if you die very quickly, and this game is pretty damn difficult, then that advantage is lost. So you have to try to streak them together. It's an interesting concept. And the CRT simulation on it is just mind-blowing. It's very customizable as well. They have, I would say, probably 50 different options that you can just toy with. Different ways the CRT looks. Yeah, you can disable it.
Nice.
But if you disable it, it's not all that good looking. It's one of those games that is really meant to play with the CRT simulation turned on, to some extent.
What about the aspect ratio?
The aspect ratio is a 4:3.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed from the
yeah, if you have the CRT
4:3 and rounded corners, which is not what I want to see on
you can turn off the rounded corners, but it's still a 4:3 resolution. And so you'll have the black bars on the sides, which is a little annoying. With the CRT simulation, you can see there's a bit of a reflection on the sides as well, which fills up, I would say, 90% of the screen. I think that's about fair.
Are you asking us?
Well, I was saying with the CRT simulation, it does fill up quite a bit more.
Oh,
no, you can see like the last couple pixels are repeated.
Yeah. Well,
Honestly, it's hard to tell in the
Yeah,
screenshots.
yeah, it's doing like a reflection. That's the thing. On one of the screenshots, you could see like the torch that's reflected on the side of the screen. But maybe it's just my age, where it just hits the nostalgia just right.
I mean,
it is very difficult, but I found it to be mostly fair as well. It's a lot of my deaths in it were me not knowing the patterns to the enemies, and it's Nintendo hard, 80s Nintendo hard, where it will dick you over if you don't know the game, but if you know the game, you're able to get through it pretty easily.
Yeah.
You know what you're about to say?
Well, I was gonna say I'm not taking any points off of it for choosing to go with the kind of faked CRT art style. Like,
Yeah,
it's an art decision, you know. But
yeah, and they definitely made it so that the pixel art for it looks a lot better with at least some sort of CRT simulation turned on. But they don't really show.
It does look good.
Yeah, they really don't show all that well just how flexible that CRT simulation is.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks like what it's trying to be. Mm-hmm. It's just not the type of game that I would ever want to play.
Yeah, true.
Yes, I don't have any nostalgia for CRT.
Yeah, which is perfectly understandable. It's a niche game to begin with. It's a niche of a niche, so I think it's going to have a bit of problems sales-wise. You can disable it, but
16 by 9 would be appreciated, but I can live without it.
Well, I imagine you probably just do windowed mode at that point and cut off the sides. I actually didn't test that because recording does all sorts of fun things already. Which recording that game did cause me a few issues with how the resolution was generated.
The one thing I would say that did the CRT thing very well was her story. To the point where I'm pretty sure it was scripted, you could see the reflection of the person in front of the screen. I don't know how controlled it was because it felt kind of random, but the first couple times you saw it was at very appropriate points, and it created a lot of climate. Just seeing the glimpse of it, first couple times you probably didn't really know who that was. That it was actually just your reflection.
Yeah, they set it up where it was kind of like a horror almost. Like a couple of times they do it like a jump scare.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the heck? But then like you figure out like, oh, it's whatever the lights flicker, it's your reflection.
Yeah, I liked it because it was very subtle. This is that's the pretty much definition, the difference between horror, terror and creepiness.
Mm-hmm.
Terror is what the fuck was that, and creepy is did I really see that? Which fucks with you even more. Just the I lost rage.
So shall we move along?
Lose rage.
Oh, it's not me this time, I swear.
He didn't drop off of Skype. I wonder if he just accidentally ended the call. Because you dropped off of Skype, Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just lost the call completely there.
Okay.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it just called me back.
Oh, well, that was me. I called you back.
You didn't lose
Keep
much.
going.
Yeah, I'm just saying that creepiness is much more powerful on just the brain level because
yeah, the brain fills in what it can't figure out.
It cannot deal with ambiguity.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a Hitchcock line?
Yeah, pretty much. He was the Hitchcock. Yeah, I would say Hitchcock was one of the first people who really took advantage of it.
Well, that was
for example, there were actual
quotes, yeah.
Yeah, and they actually talked a lot about it in Alan Wake as well.
Yeah.
Bring it back to Game Club.
Yeah, an old game club.
Yeah, let's talk about Alan Wake.
Let's not do that. Let's let Rach get back on topic.
Yeah,
I'm
so
looking at the
just
recording time.
I also say it.
Okay,
Let me just finish with there were actual studies which showed that people are much more scared of seeing other people be scared because they don't know what the source of it is. If you kind of understand what I'm getting at. If you see something scary, you are less scared than seeing somebody else scared of it but not see what they're scared of.
Right.
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Carry on, Rach.
All right, the last game on my list is actually the game I'm going to start playing on my channel next week, Grow Up, the sequel to Grow Home. It's this one's more of a platformer than what Grow Up was. They went more of an open world style where you're given just a list of objectives and it's like, okay, go do this. And you're actually given the tools to get around pretty early on. So I think it's going to end up being a short game for me. Unless they throw a curveball at me about halfway through the game. It's has that low poly style, but I like low poly styling when it's done well, but the problem is that a lot of indie games out there make low poly look very, very ugly, but this game is not.
Yeah, you pretty much... the problem is if you want to go for low poly, you pretty much also have to go for cel shading.
Yeah, and also quality textures.
Exactly.
Because that's been a big problem is that I'll run into an indie game that's low poly and they'll have just crappy textures on top of it. And just, it's one of those things that it draws, being low poly, dropping the detail, it makes you pay attention more to the texture work. And if the texture work is just crap, it just makes it look even worse.
Low poly is the pixel art of 3D.
Essentially.
That feels like a very positive spin on games that look like shit.
Yeah. It's like, this is not pixel art, you're just bad at it.
It sounds like a Hello Games thing.
Yeah.
Somebody had to do it. Somebody had to beat the dead horse.
Yeah.
Get out the glue bottle.
Yeah, if your game runs at 640 by 480, just because I can see the pixel doesn't mean it's pixel art.
You're just being a hipster. That's all it is. It's a hipster game.
But getting back to Grow Up, it's like I said, it's more open world, and I've kind of already started to sequence break and just go off on my own and do other things. And they throw challenges in as well that unlocks different cosmetic things. From what I could tell, you don't have to do them, but they're usually some sort of platforming challenge, which is interesting. It makes you really toy around with the tools that you have, and some of them you have to come back later because you just don't have what you need. For example, one of the challenges I couldn't do because I didn't have an upgraded jetpack yet. So my jetpack was more of a hover pack than anything else. So I can't do that yet. I have to go get power-ups and come back later and try to do that challenge again.
What are actually those challenges? What do they mean to the actual game? Are those side quests or are there actual progression?
They're, from what I could tell, just side quests.
Okay.
Think of it almost as... this is going to make them sound even worse. The Riddler challenges from the Batman Arkham series, where it unlocks mostly nothing.
I haven't played that one yet.
But for this, doing every so many challenges, you get a cosmetic thing. Like the first, completing the first one makes Bud, the character that you play, gives him a bee outfit. that he can wear instead.
It's cute.
Yeah, and it has the same thing going on from the previous game where everything is procedurally animated. So Bud stumbles around like he's drunk if you're not careful. And there's still a lot of clapping, but they give you the tools to be able to navigate a lot quicker. Like within the first hour and a half that I've played so far, I've gotten the glider, so I'm able to fly around. I've upgraded my jetpack so I could move around. And one thing that they've done that was in the previous game was that you could scan the DNA of various plants and use those to navigate us around as well. So if you found a flower that shoots pollen that allows you to gain altitude, you could scan that, and then you have that for the rest of the game. So you could use your spawn one of those to gain altitude and try to fly up instead of just climbing. Which is why I said it feels more of an open world, almost sandbox game than a platformer. There's definitely sections that is very, for lack of a better term, scripted, where you have to, essentially, like in the first game, grow the star plant to be able to reach a very, very high ledge. But there's been sections where I've gotten to an objective by just spawning a catapult and getting altitude and gliding.
Yeah, I heard that a lot of the game was getting height so you could glide down to stuff when it first released in like co-optional and Podquisition and the LPVG podcast.
Yeah, and I definitely see that.
So they were like, I mean, you can do it this way, or you could just climb the tallest thing you can find and glide
which
down,
I've already got teleporters up to very high heights if I wanted to basically cheese the game. But then it comes down to, do you want to, essentially break the game and play, get us through it as fast as possible, or do you want to have fun with it?
Yeah.
And that's where it really comes down to. Because I pretty much already have it where if I really wanted to break the game, I already have enough height to get most of what I need. But I don't want to do that. I mean, it's sort of like how I play RimWorld, where I try to avoid most of the cheesy tactics.
Yeah. That's fair.
I've enjoyed it so far. Granted, Grow Home did wear on me after a while, but the thing is that this has a lot more variety than that game did, because Grow Home was pretty much essentially climbing. There was I shouldn't say there was some variance on what you were doing, but it was still essentially a Jack and the Beanstalk simulator. This year after, I think it's 9 different ship parts. And I've already had one that, it was just glide into a crater and collect the part there. There was really very little climbing to do, or at least the way I did it. And I did it with pretty much what the world had spawned. It was, I break the game physics by spawning this and gaining a bunch of height.
Yeah. So
I think it's going to be a nice little break game after the depression that was Valiant Hearts. Well, I shouldn't say depression, but, definitely a downturn on tone.
Deep.
Well, the thing with Valiant Hearts was I saw the sad ending coming from even before I started, so...
Yeah, I mean, it did telegraph it, but it was still no less of a deep game for me, at least.
Yeah.
There may have been some emotions going on when I was finishing up that game. I'm not a heartless bastard.
Yeah, I think the main thing for me, what caught me more off guard, was who instead of what.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's my games.
Okay. Well, that's all of our games. And hey, look at that. Under 2 hours. So for once, I actually slightly overestimated this segment. Does anyone need to take a break before we move on to our first news topic?
I might need it, yeah.
Bathrooms, bevs, and snacks?
Pretty much.
I need to grab
Hopefully not all in the same room.
I'm efficient. That's how I roll.
Yep. Okay, let's take a couple
minutes. You're just going to be sitting on the toilet, taking a dump and eating a Snickers bar at the same time.
I mean, in and out at the same time, why not? Just make sure I don't put the... Never mind, I'm not... never mind, no.
Yeah, let's not go there. Let's go to break.
right.
We'll do that and then be back. I'm just going to take us back in with this statement. Welcome back. We're now going to go talk about our first news topic. I'd like to be done, if possible, by 12:30, because that would mean that I could spend a little bit of time editing tonight before I go to bed.
Well,
so that
good
means
luck
I'm going
with
to move
that.
us... yeah, thanks. So that means I'm going to move us on to our first news topic, which is Steam Greenlight is going bye-bye, and Steam Direct is replacing it. This is probably our biggest news topic, unless by some miracle we all have the exact same thought, and it only takes us one moment to get it out.
Well,
that would
my
never
first
happen.
thought on this is,
Yeah.
There's some good to it. There's some bad to it.
well,
And most of the bad is probably going to come from Steam just like throwing it out there, or Valve just throwing it out there like they do with everything, and then being like, all right, this is better than Greenlight, right, guys? Right, okay.
yeah, right. Greenlight, I'm not going to pretend Greenlight is not a severely flawed system. And just the fact that Greenlight really is a popularity contest. For the most part, there have been games that have gotten through Greenlight with very few votes. And that's more Steam picking and choosing what's popular or getting a bit of traction still. So, it's still a bit of a popularity contest, but it's not who has the most votes on Greenlight. You automatically get through.
Right. Let's take just a moment to say what Steam Direct is. Like, everyone, I think, has got a handle on
Steam
Greenlight, because
Greenlight.
we've talked about it so much. Well, it's Steam Direct is similar to Steam Greenlight, except there's
It's
no
the
voting.
exact same.
Just now you fill out the stuff, pay the money, and your game can go up on Steam.
Yeah.
Instead of having to wait for people to vote for it.
I see so much shovelware going through
Yeah,
this.
this is such a bad idea.
If it wasn't Valve doing it, if it was someone... Oh, I hate using the phrase actually caring about content, because Valve, I think, does care. But the thing is that they are just so overwhelmed, and they do not want to spend the money on the staff to even attempt to cover this. This is just going to be an open door policy. Anyone that can
Yeah.
put the... and it is a redeemable fee as well. That's the thing, is that you get that fee back, so...
Yeah.
If someone could book the bill on however much they set the fee, I imagine it's going to be more than the $100 that they have for Greenlight. Then it's an open door to Steam, and I just see so many problems with this coming up. How many Unity asset flips do you see coming up from this? Because I see all of them.
A few. Some of that I think could be mitigated by the fee. I mean, yes, you can get it back, but unless I missed it, they didn't say exactly how. They just said there was a way for you to get it back. I'm paraphrasing, but a fee that's high enough to block a lot of the people who are just trying to dump shovelware for a quick buck would prevent some of that. But you don't want to go too high, because, who's just got $5,000 lying around? 'Cause
Yeah, true.
they set a range of it could be $100, it could be $5,000. And it's like, I've got $100 I could just give you, but I don't have $5,000, so.
I have an idea on how this could work. I don't know if it will, though.
Does it involve Valve getting actually involved with the whole process?
No.
Because
no.
if so, good luck.
It's going outside of Valve for this. It basically, I could see this being if they cap it at 5,000. I can see them absolving themselves of any kind of this is crap, because people aren't going to be able to have 5,000 on hand usually. But what I see happening is people will go to Kickstarter or Indiegogo and try and peddle their wares there.
Get the a Kickstarter to raise the
Kickstarter, raise the initial income.
That's going to happen so many times,
and then drop it onto the marketplace. So they're basically kind of just saying, we don't want to lose all of these new units coming in, but we don't want to deal with the overhead of trying to peddle them ourselves. We want you to at least get into the AAA game on your own before you come to us, I guess. Or no, I'm not AAA, like A, or maybe even AA. Like they want people to come prepared, not put up the shovelware. Is the kind of the gist that I'm getting here. I don't think it's going to work exactly the way they want it to, though. It's the problem.
No, the biggest problem with Steam, and we've harped on this time and time and time again, is that they just need real people looking at this stuff.
Yeah.
I think
they need about 10 times the staff that they do.
Yeah, I think every
pretty much
single
across
problem.
the board.
I think every single problem that Valve has ever had, except for maybe like coding or security-related issues, has been, if you guys would just hire some people and pay them to do this stuff, you wouldn't have these problems. And Valve has got the money.
Yeah.
It's not like they don't have the money. They just refuse to because they don't have to. Because they're Valve.
Yeah.
They're still top of the food chain.
We have
there's no one
Or
even
do they
close.
have the money? Maybe they're spending. Maybe they have too much of a hookers and blow part of their income or expenditures.
Lord Gaben spending way too much money on his harem.
Yeah.
No. It's the money bin. It takes way too much to fill it.
Valve is what... In Poland we have a idiom called gardener's dog, which means you're not going to do something, but you will not let anybody else do it either. And this is the problem with Valve. They are not going to give away the control over the system. They are not going to fix it themselves, which means it will just stay broken. And this is... I don't think it will fix any of the issues. There will still be shovelware. Without community policing, I think it will get worse. And I think they will go. They are going to kill a lot of passion projects. And if the cost of stopping 100 shit games going into Steam is not letting one good game from an indie dev that they worked on just in their spare time, I think that is a tragedy. And that is exactly what I think is going to happen. Because, maybe $100 is not that much for you, but for, I don't know, a student or somebody, especially not living in US, if I had a game right now that I could put on Steam Greenlight, that I would think people would like, $100 is, I think, a barrier I would not be able to get through.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally understandable, and that is only going to get worse if they raise the fee, which they will.
Yeah, they will.
They will.
I mean,
because that's going to be their only method of control. Like, how serious are these people going to be? How much money are they going to spend?
And are they going to keep it solid across the board, or are they going to arbitrarily up and down it every once in a while, just to kind of, as the supply and demand? If there's a crap ton of attempts to come into the system, are they going to crank up the price to try and keep some people, limit the flow, so to speak?
Or something else is, what about genre? What if it's one price?
Yeah.
What if it's one price to put, let's pick a genre almost at random that's way overpopulated with a lot of shovelware crap. The first-person survival.
Oh, I was thinking you were going
platformers.
to... Yeah. Retro-inspired platformers.
Jump scare horror crap. I mean,
platformer is almost too easy of a choice, so I went for the next obvious. But imagine, to do a survival game. Well, and also, I'm talking about one that is usually done by a small company instead of an individual.
Yeah. Well, and the other question would be
a survival game, and another to be a platformer.
So the other question too would be, how would they run that arbitrary price thing? Would the more popular the genre, they crank up the price, or would they lower it to get more people into it? Because that would be the end thing, and get page hits.
Yeah, I think Valve doesn't realize exactly what they're tampering with here, to be honest.
Valve is too much of a hands-off company.
Yeah, it works for their company itself, but they can't do that with Steam. They definitely can't do it with developers, because they've just let developers get away with just abandoning projects over and over and over again.
Yeah.
How many times has the War Z been re-released on Steam under a different name now. Are we up to 4 or 5 times now? Or sorry, Survivor Stories or whatever the hell they're calling it now. I've seen it pop up again recently. That's why I'm bringing it up.
How many times have Double Fine put stuff on Steam and it disappeared? I mean, I don't want to rag. I honestly don't want to rag too much on Double Fine because the stuff that I played from them has been fun and I've enjoyed it. But man, they are doing some sleazy
Double
stuff
Fine
too.
can't manage $1 to save their life.
Yeah.
Then again, they also live in one of the most expensive cities in the United States, and they're trying to be an indie developer.
Yeah.
Yep. So...
Yeah, and we haven't even touched on the paperwork, which is another thing that they want.
Yeah, you have to submit pretty much everything. They said essentially it's like opening a bank account.
Personal or company verification and tax documents similar to the process of applying for a bank account. Yeah, that's the problem. If you have developers from the entire world, that is a lot of stuff to deal with.
God, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if it's an individual from a smaller, less developed country. Can you imagine someone just... well, I have a friend in South Africa. Him trying to open up the proper documents and get them to Valve would be just a huge ordeal compared to, let's say, Jared doing the same thing.
Yep. Oh, they even say it here, actually. I missed this line. They intend that to, in their words, decrease the noise in the submission pipeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
really
just from my point of view. It means, okay, we'll just make everybody pay, and that means we don't have to curate it.
Yep.
Which is not at all how it works. Still, back to the paperwork. That is really, really vague. When I applied for a bank account, the only thing I had to have on me was my ID. Is that enough for Valve? I don't fucking know. Tax documents. I don't pay any taxes right now. What do they would want from me?
What does tax documents mean, too? I mean, in the United States, there are many different types of taxes that you can pay. Regardless, like, you can just be an individual, and there can be different types of tax documents that you receive and send.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it from the perspective of what would happen if I wanted to submit the game to this process. Many countries, I'm pretty sure, most of them, have internal databases, which means if I want to do something, all I need is my ID, and they will look everything up. If I wanted to actually get all of this information and send it somewhere outside of the country, that is a shit ton of work. And again, I think it will just kill passion projects.
Also, another thing, security. Obviously, they're going to have to store all of this information.
Oh, man, I didn't even think of that.
No.
I thought that while we were talking. I mean...
You remember the caching issue
a security
from the
leak
last
in
year.
about 10 years from Valve with a decade's worth of tax documents from all the small indie devs that's posted stuff on Steam Direct. Oh, that would be a treasure trove for the hackers.
Yeah, I don't even want to attempt to get into the legalities of it. I mean, this would be a Kyle discussion, but, you know, they're a United States-based company that are going to have tax documents from around the rest of the world.
Sure, let's make a fifth.
Oh, God, please no more.
I just imagine it that, like, Kyle is just furiously typing away already.
Like, he
Probably
knows.
on Twitter.
It's like they're talking about legal stuff, I know it.
His lawyer sense is tingling.
There's going to be like 50 tweets next week.
About something other than Dark Souls, I hope.
I just imagine, like, anytime we like, you know, you guys start doing something about, like, I wonder what Kyle thinks. Like, real time, he's just on the other side of the country going, I feel they're talking about me.
Well, I better start boning up on my legal matter or my legal subject material for this topic. I know this is the one.
Yeah, so you remember the caching issue from the last year when during the Christmas sale they were trying to optimize it, and they just started caching personal pages, which is a horrible fucking idea. Yeah.
Is that
That's
the
the
thing
one
that
that
happened when they, like, you logged in, you could see other people's...
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't able
basically what
do
caching
anything,
is that you store pre-calculated pages, and you should only do it for the pages that are the same or roughly this, or just mostly reusable. You should absolutely never do it for stuff that is personal, and somehow they did. Fortunately, there wasn't that much you could see. I think the only real thing you could see was the last 4 digits of credit card number, which is not that big of an issue. Still, it shouldn't be shown. If
It
they
opens
are
up the biggest thing. It opened up a lot of corridors for phishing attempts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Remember a couple of years ago, it was sometime in 2015, mid to early 2015, where they had the account security issue where you could just type nothing into a password field and get into anyone's account.
I remember hearing something about that.
About this.
Imagine being able to do that for some of these any of these businesses that would have all of their tax information and everything. It goes beyond just losing your account. You could get your identity stolen, or your corporation. Corporate entity stolen? I forget the specifics of it, but with the right information, you could hijack someone's business online.
Yeah, as far as I know, in US, the only thing you need to fully impersonate somebody is their social security number, right?
Yep. I mean, that's the biggest thing. There are some things that have multiple security checks, but almost everything is like, what's your name? And your social security number? Okay, you're good. We'll tell you whatever you need to know.
Okay, that's just the issue with the country itself.
Yeah, social security numbers are also really easy to brute force. Because social securities are only, let's see, it's 3, 2, 4. So...
Yeah, and it follows a pattern
9
as well.
digits.
So
Yeah, they follow a pattern.
Your first
if you know the birth date,
you
could. Yeah, if you know the birth date and the birth location, you could get pretty damn close.
Yeah, in Poland we have something called PESEL. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's just identification number. It's the birth date, just straight birth date. The only thing that is a little different is that the month also contains the century. Which is, for example, if you were born in 1910, then the first 6 digits, then the month, let's say February 1910, then your first 6 digit would be 10 for the 1910 part, and then 02. If you were born in 2010, you add 20 to the month, so it's 10, 22. So, but still, it's a very easy pattern. Which means if you know somebody's birth date, you know their first 6 numbers. Then you have 4 numbers which are semi-random, the parity of which is based on gender, so only 500 combination, and there is the checksum. Which means if you know somebody's birth date, there are only 500 possible numbers you have to choose from. Still, I could give my own one to you right now. I could give you the serial number of all my IDs. You will not be able to do anything with it. Still, of course, there are countries where the laws on it are not as secure, and of course, you have the human error, which means that you can call. So you can call some help center, say, "Hi, I'm Jared. I need the password to the to VGL Twitter," and they will just give it to me.
Yeah, social engineering is a huge thing for getting into some of these accounts.
Yeah, most of hacking is social engineering because it's easier to break humans than break code.
Yep, that is definitely true.
So
we got way off of our topic.
I wouldn't say we're way
off.
Imagine that.
Talking about social security numbers and the Polish equivalent.
One thing I will say is, like, social security number putting it out doesn't scare me anymore because, crap, that's pretty much... I'm so used to that from being in the military that that's on, like, every document ever in the last 14 years that I've been in the military, so if somebody's going to find it, there's plenty of... It's out there all over the place, so whatever.
I've also got tons of documentation that has, like, my social security number and stuff on it, just, like, from the licensing board and stuff from school and the clinic. Like, all of that has to be on file. So...
And in fact, I actually had gotten an email early last year that my information was potentially one of the ones that was in the Office of Personnel Management. That got
that
hacked.
where the laptop just went missing? Or?
Yes, that was my information potentially was in that group. So they're like, "We're giving you 2 free years of." It wasn't LifeLock. It was another like security. Or personal.
They were the lowest. They were the lowest bidder.
Pretty much, yeah.
I had one of those too from a couple of years ago. Maybe it was the same.
Might have been.
Thing.
Who knows? They probably sent that out to like everybody who's had anything go through the government.
Yeah, I got 2 years of. It started with a K. Kroll or something monitoring.
It
ended last year sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway.
Yep.
It's a thing.
Yeah, I'm just
weird stuff.
I'm just sitting here rereading their announcement, and they're talking about the success of Greenlight because 100 titles have made over $1 million each. Just how many games have gone through Greenlight, though? That's the thing.
Well, I do agree with what Chmis said earlier. Like, if you have to get 100 crappy titles to get one good one, I think that's worth it. Because, we can rag on it all the time, but us and many people like us exist to curate this stuff.
I think this wouldn't be as big a problem, and this could be a lead-in to our next topic, is if the discovery tools didn't suck so much.
Yeah. I think that is the...
I think that's the bigger issue here, is that it's really hard to find the gems out there, or not even the gems. The underrated stuff. This everybody knows about Stardew Valley, but how many people knows about this game? That's kind of like it, but not really.
Yeah. I mean, if no one has anything else to,
I may be in the minority here, but actually, I wouldn't mind if everybody could just put their game on Steam, and instead of curating everybody, Valve focused on actual discovery, so the community itself can decide which games are worth buying and which should just sink to the very bottom, especially since we have now the refund system.
Well, I think my biggest hang-up on that isn't so much the discovery as well, but just, there's games out there that just don't work at all.
Yeah,
and the refund system, it's at that point where if there's a game out there that, let's say, breaks at the hour mark, you have maybe an hour worth of time to fix it, and then you're not going to get that refund. And if you don't realize that, the game is completely broken and nobody's really talking about it. Let's say it's a niche enough title that there's, the forums just aren't talking about it. They're either empty or they're, or even worse, they're being curated where, the developers in there deleting the threads and there's just not enough outcry that people are saying something. You may spend an hour trying to fix that game, or thinking that it may be you and it's not the game, and you're stuck with it.
I would agree with Chmis on that if this was a perfect world, but the problem is you are still going to get that, like, the YouTube bait syndrome, or the people are just, the popularity of, wow, this game is so shitty, you've got to check it out, and then it's going to skew the results. Yeah, you get the bad rap of this game is so crap, and then that will still lead to the people that will purposely build a game that just sucks to get their name, in 15 minutes of spotlight.
Yeah, true. Or even, well, let's call it No Man's Sky syndrome, where the opening of the game is actually entertaining, but once you get past it, you start seeing just how really shallow it is.
Yeah, and how boring it is. So, just Kyle tweeted at me earlier and was like, "Hey, whatever happened with this thing about frigates you mentioned, or freighters on No Man's Sky from however many weeks ago?" I was like, "Dude, I got bored." And I just stopped. So it's like, that just happens sometimes.
Yeah, I know it's not a perfect analogy because here you actually have to invest time and money, but to me this situation is kind of like if YouTube had absolutely no search features, they only hosted videos, and the only way to get to them would be via direct URL. You would have to just type the actual semi-random URL to find the video. And they decided, and after people complaining that you cannot find any good videos, they decided, okay, we're going to make everybody pay for uploads.
Huh.
Don't give YouTube that idea.
It's an interesting way to think about it. But you're right. You're definitely right.
Yeah, it's just YouTube also has a discovery issue as well, but that's something that's really difficult to solve. Actually, is how do you get discovery for smaller projects? Because the tag system is not working for Steam because they just get trolled. How many kids games have psychological horror?
It's like, and they are actively banning useful tags like 30 FPS.
Yeah.
Because they are seen as bullying. Actually, for
Or
YouTube,
Uplay.
it works pretty well for me. Obviously, most of the recommended stuff is the most popular, but every now and then, if I watch a couple popular videos, it will recommend me ones that are similar but have under 1,000 views.
Well, what's interesting is during the summer sale, went onto one of my secondary accounts and went through the discovery queue there and went through it on my primary account. And there's no link between them outside of just being friends between them. And the discovery queue, I would say, was 75% the same. Mind you, my alternate account doesn't have hardly any games on it. And there's been no traffic on the store pages at all, so it's not metadata from there. So
okay, I have a proposition. Why don't we all just go through our discovery queues? Jared will kill me for the runtime, but still. Okay, so my first game...
Actually, I'm currently going through my discovery queue right now.
Well, my first one is Resident Evil Biohazard.
Okay, my first one is actually Civ 6, so that's on point.
We need to go
next
deeper.
One. So, game
roguelike
that...
game.
Wait a minute, what?
Dynasty Warriors 8. Half of the title is in Chinese.
Yeah, let's see. Mine is Alter Sophie, the Alchemist of the Mysterious Book. This is something that I have never seen before.
Is this? I don't think I've ever really done. Oh no!
But here's the line that pops up so often that I think this is shows you that the discovery queue isn't what it's cracked up to be. This product is in your discovery queue because it's popular.
Exactly. Where can you actually...
Same
it's
here.
Just above.
It says positive user reviews. I'm looking at Judgment Apocalypse Survival Simulation. No, I don't. No.
Let's see, Averon, which is a procedural co-op space sandbox.
Oh.
You laughing at me, Jared?
No.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm going through my discovery queue. This product is in your discovery queue because it's new on Steam. Animal Lover. Evil forces have turned these 5 hunky beefcake, time-displaced boys into animals. You've got to help cure them and maybe even fall in love.
That's gotta be a visual novel.
It is. I've signed up for a review copy of it. Because it
But see, that kind
sounds
of
so
makes
terrible.
sense for you, because you've at least... Yeah. See, I'm looking at, okay, my next one is Astroneer, which, okay, cool. I'm interested in that.
Yeah, I just got that one, actually.
So my problem with the Discovery Queue is if you're a crazy person like me, I've actually gone through twice now and Discovery Queued every single game on Steam.
Osiris?
And I've let it... Yeah. I've let it sit for a couple of months.
But then after it didn't work at all, I decided to skip it. Yeah, my problem right now, this is the first game that is recommended because I might be interested. Hunger Dungeon, tags, free-to-play MMO pixel graphics MOBA. Why? Marcus not interested. What's next? Popular, some
Conan
CCG.
Exiles.
I have never played CCG on Steam. What else?
All of what I've
Pursuit?
gotten...
Okay, Okay, that makes sense, but it's recommended because it's popular. That is actually a game I am interested in. At least I would be if it wasn't Criterion Hot Pursuit.
Yeah, everything I'm getting is because it's either popular or new on Steam.
That's
not because
where I'm
it's
at, too.
tuned for me.
I'm not getting any new on
Like,
Steam.
here's Tekken 7. I'm not big into fighting games.
Yeah, everything...
Foosball World Tour. This is, I believe this is, no, this isn't a virtual reality game from what I could tell, but it's local co-op only, or local player only.
Every single game...
Survival game.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, every single game except this, that one, that two was recommended because it's popular. It's either horror or survival, and it's on Jared's wishlist.
What is it?
Every single game.
Oh, every game you see is on my wish list?
I'm actually getting a lot of games that's not on Jared's wish list, but it's still... this is on your Discovery Queue because it has positive user reviews. Well,
Yeah,
so
mine's
does Bad Rats. That's the thing. This
That's a
isn't
high bar.
tuned for me.
I just ran through my whole list, and out of the, 12 that they show you, I think 8 of them were survival games, either first person or top down. And I don't like survival games. So,
Yeah.
why?
Well, my
That's interesting.
second queue I just went through is had 3 fighting games.
I didn't have any
And now I'm
fighting
getting, it was either fighting games or Soccer Manager. And here's another Soccer Manager game. Unreal Tournament, okay, maybe. Then Super Impossible Road, which is an endless runner game. Oh, look, another football game. Or, sorry, soccer game. World of
It's
Soccer.
Football.
Another soccer game.
It's football. We're the only country in the world that calls it soccer, so
I call
everybody
it
else is
football.
right. So it's football.
say
Another
football,
soccer
You make
game.
ball with your foot.
Yeah, football and American football.
So, yeah, I'm just getting all soccer games now.
I've gone through 4 queues while we were sitting here, and I haven't gotten a single one that said recommended because you played this game or because you have selected this. It's all new or positive reviews, and I've gotten one that said just to see if you might like this.
Oh, this
And I
product,
didn't. It was an isometric horror game.
This
Now,
product
granted,
is in
it
your
may be
Discovery Queue because it's on sale. Football Manager 2070, 21% reviews. There are couple...
Wait, what? How many reviews?
21% positive.
Football Manager?
Yeah, 2017. I don't know why.
Yeah, I just got Soccer Manager.
I have that Motorsport Manager on my list.
I want to know,
I want that, but I can't afford it right now.
what did I do to make this throw just soccer games at me?
My problem with
It's
this is
it's your
that,
playstyle in
yeah,
Rocket League. That's what caused it.
Maybe it is Rocket League triggering some sort of thing in soccer, which means it is at least somewhat tailored. Because I do believe Rocket League is a tag for soccer. Which, once again, gets back to the whole tagging issue. Oh, it's tagged as football. There
So-
you go.
also,
Even though we've been talking about it for a while, we never actually said that we were moving on to discussing
We are
Discovery
not moving
2.0.
on.
Yeah. This is going to be
Let's
interesting
just
to
let
see
me
where you
finish.
drop the timestamp.
Yeah, this is the last game on my queue. Survivalist, early access zombie survival game.
Oh, fun!
In your discovery queue because it has positive user reviews. 60% is enough for it to recommend to me. And actually,
Well,
there
it's-
were a couple games that I was interested in. For example, it recommended to me Overcooked, which I really want to get into. I just need to find people to play it with. And it's always recommended because it's popular. I don't think I have ever gotten recommendation because I might be interested in it, and I was actually interested in it.
Oh, I just got one that's listed. This project is in your discovery queue just to see if you might be interested after 3 discovery queues. Assassins versus Pirates. Looks like it's a local multiplayer game, so no, I'm not interested in it. But remember, Discovery 2.0 is a success for Steam because it has sold a lot of games.
Maybe I can just take what you just said and push it back 20 minutes.
Yeah. Basically, the discovery queue only works if I just forgot to wishlist a game, and I will eventually get to it.
Because that's what this is.
Yeah.
Wait, it just gave me the same game again.
I've heard a lot of good things about the new Discovery tools, but the thing is okay, so my queue activity. I have viewed 9,595 games on Steam, with 1,138 titles on my wish list, and 7,995 games marked as not interested. I've gone through so much of the store, it doesn't help me.
I think they forgot to put a few zeros behind your wish list.
Well, I think part of what my problem is that if they try to base it off my library, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and you have the exact same problem because our libraries are so big and so varied. Yours even more so than mine.
Mine is not so big, but I have plenty of games I am not interested in just because they were bundled. But still, I think if they are basing recommendation on those, that's a stupid idea. They should instead base it on games I've actually played, not just bought.
And I do... this once again comes back to the whole curation problem. They just threw the game Toxic at me in the Discovery queue. And last I heard, Toxic is player numbers below Evolve. I'm actually going to go double check now just to make sure. Oh, 29 players in January.
So I just got the Bloody Boobs game in my Discovery queue, and it
Review
scrolls
copy.
down. One friend already owns this game, Caffeine Rage, now playing.
Review copy, and I guess it's idling right now.
Idling, yeah.
Idle Master. You make me play some weird shit.
Ooh, hey, a game that actually looks interesting.
I can get. I don't
Although
know
it's
if
got a
they're running
weird
anymore.
title. Evolvation.
That's a title.
But yeah, they just threw me a discovery for a game that is essentially dead. And it's coming all the way back around to saying that there needs to be some sort of curation because the discovery system should not be throwing games that are dead. They shouldn't be throwing games that are broken. They shouldn't be throwing games that have a 60% positive review or put on the discovery queue saying that we're putting this on here for positive reviews. Bullshit. But it all comes down to Valve refuses to staff Steam like they need to be.
This looks wonderful.
Oh no.
No,
Her Majesty's Spiffing. Her Majesty's Spiffing is a quaint graphic adventure game following the exploits of Captain Frank Lee English. get it, frankly English, and his trusted regional accented colleague, Aled, as they travel through the cosmos in search of planets to claim for the new galactic British Empire. Add to wish list.
Add that on. I also saw that and tried to get a review copy of it.
Oh, I know this game, but mostly from their devlogs.
Yes. As soon as that goes on sale, I'm gonna buy it.
I've watched a bunch of devlogs, even though
So
I'm not
maybe
really
the
interested.
Discovery queue is worth something.
Yeah.
Well,
What
I
is
had
this
to go
again?
through 6 queues before I got to it.
What's the name of that again?
Her
Her
Majesty's
Majesty's
Spiffing.
And they are developing the game in Unity and
Okay.
providing a lot of insight behind it, so this is why I know it.
Okay, here's another interesting one.
Oh,
Mr.
God, this is-
Massagy. Use your dating skills to get well-earned massages given to you through your gamepad controller.
Also, a game I've signed up for a review copy of.
That looks stupid. It looks stupid.
Well-
Add to wish list.
Well, I just got Panty
You are
Party
part of the problem.
as part of my Discovery queue.
Burly Men at Sea. Add to wish list. I don't even know what this is, but the title Burly Men at Sea, I'm in. A branching folktale adventure about a trio of large bearded fishermen in the early 20th century Scandinavia. Actually,
Yeah,
that
Jared,
sounds interesting.
Jared is part of the problem.
I
Yeah.
am the problem. I'm the whole problem. I admit it.
I don't know, does the Discovery queue take into account friends?
I'm not sure, actually.
I don't know.
Jared may be part of the problem, or I may be the problem.
Yeah, because if it does, I'm unfriending the two of you.
Well, honestly,
Excuse me.
can't blame you, and it may explain why I see some of the weird shit. But I think part of the problem of the Discovery queue is that the tag system is just terrible.
I have no idea what was just said over the last minute. I was watching the trailer for Her Majesty's Spiffing. That is hilarious, and that is on my wish list now too. Thank you very much for that.
I just
You're
want
welcome. What
maybe
is
this is
this?
accounting for all the Rocket League because it keeps giving me soccer games.
Reptilians Must Die, an amazing adventure game with gripping storyline based on the right patriotic education and spiritual scrappy fix. But in the trailer, it's got footage very clearly stolen from District 9. There's pictures of Stalin and Putin.
Quick question: Is Trump
You're
there?
totally wrong.
Guys,
Not in any
I
of the
think I
screenshots.
invented a new segment for VGL to replace weekly deals.
Oh boy,
Discovery
Discovery
queue.
queue.
Discovery queue.
that could actually work.
It could. It will be completely limited by me, though, because of how many Discovery queues I've gone through.
Just go through 5 each and rip about all the bad games. And maybe you will discover something.
I mean, I've discovered 2 games in 6 queues.
Exactly. You're welcome.
Everything else has just been marked as
you
not
think-
interested.
Do you think that we're proving the point that the Discovery system does work now?
Also, Ghostshark is now playing Guardian of Orion.
I mean,
Oh,
if you spend enough time doing something,
Idolmaster to work, so
if you spend enough time doing something, you'll eventually get results. The question is, like, was your time well spent, or could it have been better spent doing something else? And I mean, in this context, sure, it's fine what we're doing, and it's funny. But, like, if your average person is just sitting around, they probably don't want to go through 6 or 7 or 10 Discovery queues to find a game that they're interested in.
Well, let's put it this way. My queue activity. I've viewed over 1,800 titles myself. So, yeah. It takes a long, long time to get something. They're essentially throwing make you go through so many titles to actually find something that eventually it does work, and they're calling it working.
I have a question. Whenever you were done with your thought,
Well, it's just they're trying to say, Well, the broken clock works because, it just happens to be 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's not really a discovery queue if you have to go through every single game on Steam to find something.
So what was your question, Ghostshark? And
Well-
then we'll move on to our next topic.
Well, my question, I'll try and make it quick because it does kind of go back to our first thing.
Take your time.
It's not like you're
right,
about to
I
fall
don't-
asleep on us.
I don't use the discovery queue at all. Like, I've looked at my thing and I think I might have reviewed like 200 games total. I do most of my stuff by looking at like Kickstarter or Indiegogo or just, catching news on the wind of, hey, this sounds like a cool game. Let me go look it up. Do you guys do that stuff too? Is there kind of leaning back towards that first thing of if the green light goes away and they're kind of looking at using, the way that things go and people start using Kickstarter and Indiegogo to fund the fee to get on Steam, would you do more of your just snooping around for new games on those platforms?
Oh well,
instead of
this is
Steam?
how I find games, and this is not counting me just going through the sites that I go through for review copies and wish listing some things that look interesting as well. Is that I go through the discovery queue some, obviously. I mean, I have 1,800 titles I've gone through, but I also go on the sales subreddits on Reddit. For the weekly sales and especially during the big seasonal sales. And I look to see what people are talking about. But that's still, you're not going to get the very underrated gems unless you go digging big time.
The way that I use the discovery queue is just kind of a way to pass time. Like,
Obviously.
if I'm just like sitting around, like, I don't really want to play any games, but like Steam is open, I'll go run through a few discovery queues. Or a lot of discovery queues. And I have found some interesting gems, some things that really appeal to me for, whatever reason.
Yeah, you just throw them on the pile of the wish list and then never see them again.
But I'm definitely the exception to the rule. Most people don't go sit for, gosh, what has to be hours at this point going through the discovery queue. So,
Yeah, let's
like
put
I
it
said,
this
you
way.
do something enough, you'll find, you'll get something out of it.
Let's put it this way. Each discovery queue is, 12 games?
Yes.
10 or 12? I don't know.
It's 12.
So, yeah, just do the math. I've done a little over 1,800. Jared's done, over 9,000?
Over 9,000! Pretty close to 10,000, actually.
Because I just looked on Kickstarter now, and I'm looking at, granted, games category is both board games and digital. I'm like, there's Sunless Skies, which, you knew that was going to fund anyway. That's from Failberry Games. That's the same people that did, like, Sunless Sea and all that stuff. Pedestrian? Is that a... let's see. I actually haven't looked around in here for a little bit, so some of these things are kind of new to me. But I've found some really awesome games in this stuff. Like on Indiegogo, I founded Go for Launch Mercury, which is a Mercury space capsule simulator that's designed for VR. So, I don't know. I don't know where I'm getting at. I guess basically just like the discovery thing, if it goes away, I'm not too concerned about it because I can still find stuff that interests me. Plus, I don't have enough time in the day to really
I think I found Jared's game.
do everything I want to do.
What did you find?
Riding Club Championships. You ride around on horses and jump fences.
No.
Yeah, I'm looking at my library right now. So, not counting the games I got from bundle or just freebies that were linked to me somehow. Just the games I've actually bought. Okay, Worms Armageddon, I know it because who doesn't know Worms? What else?
I remember the original worms.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Titan Quest and Uplink I was recommended to by my brother a long time ago. What else? I think... Space Cam and Super Meat Boy. I actually read about those like 5-6 years ago in actual gaming magazine, back when I used to read those. And aside from those, every single game I have bought, which is I think a little over 50 games, I know because of a Let's Play.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do something that will completely depress us. Steam calculator. The value of your Steam account.
No, I don't want to.
We've done this before, Rage. Mine is you both of ours are in the thousands, especially yours.
I did it too when you guys were talking about it, and yeah, I'm not gonna do it because it's depressing.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not as bad as you guys, so
Yeah. Come on, I'm only just over 13 now.
13,000 or 100.
Me look it
Yeah.
up.
Current
What did you say?
account value $13,626.
That does assume you bought everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a little under $1,000. There is no way this is. I think the actual value of all the games I have bought is a little around 150 to 100.
Yeah, and also even total cost of sales, which
40
for me
of it is Brawlhalla.
$5,358 current account value.
Yeah, and total cost of sales $4,700, but that's accounting for all-time lowest priced on Steam, not bundles and that sort of thing.
Yeah, but
And also mine is still inflated with review copies.
yeah, but let me just, if I sort by price,
So
C5.
So we're just
C5 $30. I paid $10 for all DLCs. XCOM Enemy Unknown $30. I paid $5 on Humble Bundle with all DLCs. City Skylines $30. That was actually given to me by Rage. Warlock Master of Arcane $25. I got it as a freebie. Factorio $20. I paid $10. Portal 2. I think I got this one from Jared, etc. Seed 4 $20. That was actually bundled with Civ 5. So I can already see just the top, let's say 7 games. This is $180 that I actually paid less than 30 for. So this is way overestimating.
yeah.
Later on I see a bunch of games. For example, here's 5 different games, all rated at $20, all freebies. Or bundles.
Yeah.
So this is... And Brawlhalla, free or no price. I beg to fucking differ.
So it's underestimating at that point.
Yeah, I don't...
But this,
No, it doesn't even see the DLCs. Or in-game
Well,
purchases.
I can't see the in-game purchases, but it could see the DLCs. But the thing is that it all comes around to just maybe the discovery queue isn't made for people like us to begin with, and that's why it seems so broken.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good
It's not
argument.
meant for someone that has 200, 300 games. It's meant for the person just getting into gaming and it has maybe 5.
Yeah, I have... and also they need some income they can spend. Because, yeah, I have just 50 games, but that's not because there are no games I want to purchase. There's just not many games that I can afford and I can run on my laptop. So I'm not the demographic either.
Yeah.
I'd love to see some sort of proper benchmarking tool that all the games on Steam have to have some sort of rating for. So you know that you're not going to have an issue running this particular game. Because that's also been something that we've run into several times, is that a game just won't run well for me because it doesn't like my processor, or it didn't like my very particular graphics card, even though I met the system requirements.
Yeah, and also system requirements. Unless you are always tracking the market, they are not that easy to read.
Well, it also doesn't help that system requirements really don't mean all that much because, okay, minimum system requirements. Does that mean the minimum to get 30 FPS? Does that mean the minimum to get 60 FPS? Does it mean that the game will barely run at all on those, and that the recommended is 30? There's really no way to tell.
Let me just find any random game. Oh, KSP. Requirements. Okay, minimum requirements, processor core to duo. What does it really mean to for somebody who doesn't really know core to duo?
Not true.
Graphics, SM3, 512 megabytes of VRAM. Also not meaningful at all. 3 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, that is actually some concrete numbers. The best tool for just pure system requirements I have found is Siri. Can you run it from System Requirements Lab? All you have to do is run a single program. It gets all your specification and shows every single one which you meet or not. But still,
I've used that. Yeah.
Yeah, I use it all the time because on my laptop doesn't meet most of the requirements. So I know just not to bother at all. But still, especially in the AAA games, there are a lot of issues with just single graphic cards, and without proper community support, there is no way to get this information.
Yeah, which brings us all the way back around.
Yep. Okay, I'm looking at our time, and we're very close to the 3-hour mark. Do we really want to talk about Valve modders, or can we move on to Community Corner?
It's interesting, but we could drop it if need be. But I'm going to be cutting Kyle's stuff down quite a bit.
Yeah. I would, for the sake of editing and time, I would like to move us to Community Corner and then the end of the show.
Alrighty then.
I disagree. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I'm going to kick you from the call.
Put him in the crate.
We will come back to Valve modders another time, because it is an interesting topic, but we have, had organic discussion, which is fun, but we are hitting an actual wall this week, so, because I still have a sick kid that I'm going to have to take care of some tomorrow.
Who wants to listen to music?
Yeah. Before the recording started, he was asking for me to come play him music. And I was like, kid, you're a turd. You don't ever listen to music in your bedroom. You're just stalling because you don't want to go to sleep. He was like, yeah.
Definitely your kid.
Definitely my kid. So, with that said, let's move to Community Corner then. So, Ghost...
Yes.
We haven't listened to your audio letter. We were going to listen to it at this point. But then you came on the show.
Yeah, let's just do it live.
I'm not going to reread that whole thing because it took me forever to cut out all the empty spaces. If you want to just save that for another time, or just scrap it, I don't care.
What is it even about?
Alright, so the basic gist of it was I went through... I linked modern-day politics and Star Wars politics and similarities between the two.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, quick question.
Uh-huh.
Are we going to have to separate you and Chmis after this?
No. there was no breaking down of force or any of that kind of stuff. Nothing that he was, he would get upset over.
Like,
All right,
I find it cute that you guys think I'm
Chmis, here's
actively insulted by Star Wars. I just don't care about it.
Here's the thing I was going to say earlier for you, like, that we have common ground on. I, too, hate Harry Potter. And I don't like it at all, so...
I don't really like Harry
Did
Potter
I
either.
ever say I don't like Harry Potter?
I thought you said something about... Oh, no, it was Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones.
Oh, no, I love Game of Thrones.
That's right. It was Game of
I
Thrones
don't
you
like
said
Game of
you didn't
Thrones,
like.
but I like Harry Potter, but I do
Okay.
think that the mechanics of it is just stupid with no restriction on magic. The best wizard is the one that can rotate their wrist the fastest. Which,
No. So the
now I
gist that
think
I had...
about it,
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. Yes.
it's like, I think Jared would have fun analyzing that.
But no, just the general gist that I had about my audio letter was the fact of, like, there are similarities between what happened in Star Wars and some of the things that happen in real life. And the whole point that I was trying to get at was that a lot of the crap that happened in the Star Wars, either legends, new canon, outside the movies, inside the movies, all that stuff, just came from a lack of paying attention to what was going on, or in some cases just the fact that somebody was so sneaky that nobody saw it coming. But, we, as citizens of, America or even the world, you kind of gotta pay attention. You never know what you might miss. And I'm not doing that audio letter justice. I put a lot of time and effort into it, and god damn it, you guys are screwing me over right now.
So how about this? How about we save that for next week, and it's full content. We'll save it for next week. We'll run it next week, and Rage and I can talk about it.
Whatever, that's fine.
More at
I don't
length.
care.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Whatevs. Okay,
We'll do that.
sure thing.
We want to give you your due time, sir.
That's fine.
I will also go bone up on a couple of books that I know deal with it specifically, and then I can contribute more fully to the conversation. Because there's been
That's
one
cheating.
book in new canon.
Bloodlines?
That, is it? I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah,
But
I
it's the
hit
one
on
that deals
Bloodlines
with
a lot.
Princess Leia.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one I hit on a lot. So, that's where that was where I tried to focus most of my effort on.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
Cool.
it is kind of strikingly similar to some of the crazy shit that's going on right now. So, anyway. There.
Indeed.
There's my audio letter.
Okay. Rage, let's do question of the week and tweets.
Oh, well, question of the week sparked a little bit of discussion and a hell of a lot of stuff from Kyle. What game had the most improved sequel and what made it so great? And Kyle kind of vomited 20 tweets about Dark Souls. Oh, there's no way I'm going to read all of this. He basically says, Dark Souls great.
Okay, so let's all answer the question. I like to play. Let's answer the question on the fly. Halo 2. Best sequel.
I think I agree with Chmis on Portal 2. Either that or I go really old school with something like Mario 3 where they just added so much.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think whether there's... Because there are a bunch of games that I really like that are technically sequels, but I haven't played the originals. Also, one of my favorite games is the Prince of Persia 2008, but I wouldn't really call it a sequel, it's more of a reboot. It's not really connected to the Sands of Time series.
I have a controversial answer and I have a serious answer just based off of what I see on my desktop right now.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Controversial answer, Mass Effect 3.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Okay. Why?
And the reason I say that is because even though it got such a bad rap from people, I absolutely love the story, the closure behind everything. You know, I was at the edge of my seat playing it the first time, just wondering who was going to bite it, who was going to survive. I was a completionist. I tried to do everything there was in the first two. I tried doing everything there was in the last one because I knew that, the typical Mass Effect thing of the more you do, the better your chances are of success.
Yeah, I'm in your corner. I've said it time and time again. Mass Effect is my favorite game series of all time.
And just still how, there was still some people that were not sacred cows that ended up eating it in the end. And I was just like, damn it, no, not him.
Yeah, I haven't played Mass Effect 3 because of all the negativity that's around its release.
Don't trust it.
Yeah, and the bullshit with pre-orders, etc. The first game I have played with the Mass Effect series was Mass Effect 2, and yeah, I agree, it's fantastic. I really liked how the very end mission could just go all to hell. And then I tried playing Mass Effect 1, and it was just not... It was a good game, but I think it's not any good compared to Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, if you start with the later ones and you go back to 1, it's a slug. It's a slog through. But
I would say that.
I would say Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 are different genres. Mass Effect 1 is more of an RPG than Mass Effect 2 or 3. I mean that as going mechanics based.
Yeah, the combat mechanics are completely different. I mean, they share some common elements, but they really are two different games in terms of handling.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 2, and I assume 3, I never actually played 3, feels almost more like an ARPG, where they focus more on the action more than the behind-the-scenes number-crunching stuff.
Yeah, Mass Effect 1 is very, like you said, traditional RPG. Like, you have all your gear and all your items, and it feels a lot more like, there's dice rolls behind the scenes.
Yeah,
you don't have
this
to worry
is
about
what
ammo or
bothered
anything
me.
like that.
The dice rolls of it. And because of the chronology I played it in, I don't think Mass Effect is a better game. I think Mass Effect 1 is a worse game. So
mechanically, Mass Effect 1 is a worse game than 2 and 3.
It's not... I didn't really have fun playing it. It had a lot of fluff that I'm really happy that was cut out, such as just driving the buggy on the planet.
I love the Mako.
I love the Mako, yes. And the Hammerhead in 2.
And I didn't finish it because I think...
I love the Hammerhead.
I think my save corrupted with the Mako just stuck on Insowall. And
It didn't control all that well. It felt like it was something that they tacked on to add some more padding to the game.
Yeah, I have actually lost all my saves because of it.
I'm still waiting to see what'll happen with my Mass Effect 3 playthrough. I have a mod that adds a whole bunch of extra stuff in it, and one of the things it does is you can add in like a mech bay to the hangar, and then you also have an extra slot in the hangar for another vehicle, and you can either make like another Kodiak shuttle or another Mako or a Hammerhead, anything. As long as you have the credits for it.
Just for decoration, or can you use it?
Apparently it says something about like you can actually use, they have some play in the missions of some port. I haven't really gotten far enough to really get into it. I'm maybe like 10 hours in, and I just got... Last time I remember I had gotten done taking back Omega, and I was going to Tuchanka to start kicking ass with Rex and stuff.
Yeah, Rex. He's the best.
I like him, but...
I love Rex. He's not actually the best, but I do love him.
I gotta go with Garrus.
Garrus is definitely up there.
Garrus and Thane.
I'm not a big Thane guy. I mean, he's not bad.
With Jack as backup.
My favorite character from Mass Effect 2 was, I think, Samara. I think was her name.
Samara, yeah.
The Asari. Blue chick.
Yeah, the Asari Justicar.
So I guess that wasn't as controversial of an answer as I thought it was going to
be. Well, nope. You're on a show with people who like Mass Effect, I guess.
Okay. Well,
I think the ending for it. I think Mass Effect 3's ending is the most controversial bit.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
Yeah.
I liked it, but I could definitely see how people would hate it. It's just
same here.
you know, what do you play the game for? What were you expecting?
I can't wait for Andromeda.
I'm pretty excited for Andromeda, too.
Yes.
But
So my more straight-laced answer was going to be Farming Simulator 17. Just because they always add new features and nothing really gets broken between the iterations. And I know it's kind of lame and boring, but whatever.
yeah.
They're always improving and making it better a little bit at a time. If you're into that sort of thing, so.
Right.
And I'm done. Rant
Okay.
over.
Carry on. Rage.
Okay, well, Chmis said Portal 2 is one of the best games, and the reason for it is it distilled everything that was perfect in one and made it even better.
And I can agree with it too.
And Groove chimes in from the crate. I think Witcher 3 really earns this award. Although Witcher 2 is a really strong game story-wise, it lacks some game mechanics. And Witcher 3 simply improves game mechanics a lot. It creates a wonderful story, which ties perfectly into the already built world from the books in Witcher 1 and Witcher 2. Also, CD Projekt Red got a good DLC policy for The Witcher, as their DLCs would be more of a full price game from another publisher. And I'm just kind of paraphrasing because he starts bashing on No Man's Sky, and that's our thing. And that's all for the question of the week. And really, all the tweets we had was be cool. Trust me, you're lucky that you only watched the first 2 seasons of Battlestar. And I nearly missed him tweeting that because he did that in the middle of Kyle just spewing about Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I kind of disagree with it. I think... there are, I think, 4 seasons. I think so. Yeah, I have a policy of ending series where I like them to end. And I think I really liked season 3. Season 4 started as a bit of a drag, and then there was... I don't want to spoil anything, but there was a point where they have done exactly what the series was all about. And the screen fades to black. I think, okay, that is a perfect ending for this series. And then I notice 10 minutes left to an episode, 6 episodes more.
Well, fuck.
Just
I hate when shows do
delete it from the disc. Never thought about it again.
That's one of the main reasons that Breaking Bad is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Not only is it great, but like they had a story, they stuck to it, it didn't outstay its welcome.
I didn't watch season 5.
Season 5 was very good. Honestly, it starts out a little rough, but by the end of the season, it's perfect.
I think
perfect way to end that show.
Season 4 finally wrapped everything perfectly. There was just one of... Well, many people think of it as just the last couple seconds. There is a, I would say, opening, but I don't really need anything explained about it. I just think it's in character.
I just have to say that I'm surprised in all of that crazy sci-fi rambling stuff that we had the other week. Nobody ever brought up Firefly.
I think Kyle must have missed it because he would...
Yeah, there was Firefly brought up at some
point. Was there? Or I was just assuming it was kind of a given.
Then Fox came in and just deleted it, you know?
Oh, okay.
Well, see, the problem was that the tweet was out of order.
Oh, yeah. The way Twitter handles conversation is a little weird.
Actually, I was making fun of how Fox originally ran Firefly completely out of order.
Yeah, I know.
But Twitter also sucks about handling long threads. I mean, Kyle kind of illustrated it this week. And let's see. And the only other tweets we had was Chmis perking Ghostshark over Star Wars. Again.
We can roleplay the conversation if you want. There are...
Yeah, we're good, man.
You don't have to do that. It's fine.
Okay.
The other thing I was wondering, has anybody ever watched Babylon 5?
I have.
It wasn't on my radar when it originally came out, and
It wasn't either.
I haven't gone back and watched it.
I mean, we briefly discussed Babylon 5 last week. I brought it up and talked about it for a minute, but Rach hadn't seen it, so we didn't stay on it.
I tried getting into it, and I watched like a season of it, and then it disappeared off of Netflix, and I haven't been able to find it ever since. So, and I'm not that much of a pirate, so.
If you want to watch it, I can rip it and send it to you. My mom has all 5 seasons on DVD. She really likes Babylon 5. It doesn't hold up super well. I mean, the storyline is great, but since it came out in like the early to mid 90s, it's really dated looking. Yeah. But if you can get past that, the storylines are great. I have to say though that you might want to stop at season 4. The show was originally designed to be 5 seasons long, but then they cut it to 4. So 5 seasons worth of story happens in 4 seasons. And then they were like, actually the ratings were really good on the 4th season, so let's have that 5th season again.
Yeah.
And so the 5th season is way different than the rest of the show. So.
Yeah, this is basically why many people, when they see news of the type, popular TV series gets 3 more seasons confirmed, I really don't like that. Because that means they will drag on.
It's one reason I like British TV. You know, they with a few exceptions, like Doctor Who, but even it's kind of different. You know, most of the time they have.
I just finished
timeline.
The latest season of Sherlock, and
Sherlock was so bad.
It feels like they forgot what Sherlock was originally about, especially this last season.
Chmis, my sister-in-law would fight you. She loves Sherlock.
Who would fight me?
I'm not saying it's terrible. It's just the thing is that
I don't like it. I think
it's not what it should have
terrible.
been.
3rd season was absolute dog shit. They literally had a fan service episode when they discussed different
okay,
I'll
give you that much.
I wanted to
when
gouge
the
my
Sherlock
eyes out when I
fan
watched
club
one episode.
discussed different theories about how he faked his suicide, and the Sherlock said, "Yeah, whatever. I'm not going to give you the truth," which means the entire episode was a gigantic waste of time. Then in the the season finale,
I think I've triggered
they bring
Chmis.
up.
Oh god, now we got him.
Okay. Also, who was supposed to fight me? Because I'm
My
ready.
sister-in-law.
Just bring her.
Sherlock is her favorite show in the whole world.
No. Just...
Well, it and Doctor Who. It's a pretty close tie between the two of them.
Yeah.
So in other words, Moffat. Got it.
Yeah. Also, who recommended to me Expanse? Was it you, Ghost, or Groove?
Expanse? No, not me. Might have been Jared.
Wasn't me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't even know what Expanse is.
The Expanse? Somebody, I thought it was on a podcast.
I think, no,
Let's
it
just
was
blame
a
Cal.
response. If it's not you, Ghost, then it's Groove. I always get the G's confused.
Might have been Groove then, yeah. I don't know. I've seen
Well,
stuff
remember,
about it. I
Groove's
just never
voice
got
is
around to it.
muffled from being stuck in a crate.
Okay. So, with no other segments, I suppose that means it's time for us to wrap up.
Yeah.
No.
Let Chmis, do you have
almost call
anything
it.
you wanna say, or
No, I just want to go
anything
to
you want
sleep.
people to go see? Okay.
And I do
Ghost.
not want for people to watch.
Do you have anything you want to plug, or anything that you're trying to do or get off the ground? I know you've talked about YouTube series a couple of times.
Yeah, I just got to get around to starting up some stuff. I have, like I said, I've got a few things lined up for my first few games I want to run. I've been recording some stuff on my walks and stuff, but I have yet to start submitting anything. And I think I might put that on hold until I actually get some decent recording rigs, because, good God, I'm getting tired of hearing the wind in my recordings.
Yeah, if you're going to be out hobbling around, you definitely want a windscreen. Because
Well, so that goes back to my issue of I should have been paid by now from the military for the GI Bill and stuff, but they sent it to the wrong bank. So
sure they did.
I'm
the
waiting.
wrong bank.
I'm waiting for them to fix it and send me the money. I mean, I'm going to get it. It's just going to be a couple weeks behind. But first thing I'm going to be getting is a bunch of stuff from Amazon. And it's going to include an audio recorder and a lapel mic with some heavy-duty windscreen and all that kind of stuff. So, because my phone that I was using as my audio recorder is my old HTC, which the battery is so crappy on it, I can't even get the charge anymore. So, yeah. That's the thing. So recordings are probably going to be kind of limited until I start getting better equipment. But I got to get that money first.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and YouTube, people don't realize just how much time it takes for YouTube stuff.
Long time.
Well, I'm so backed up on watching YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff. I'm like 3 weeks back. I'm just finally getting around to watching your Paco simulator, car simulator thing. Which that was like, what, 3 or 4 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like that. I actually skipped a week of Sunday Sampler just because recorded, looked at the recording, and it was split into like 12 different video files because of how the game was handling scene changes.
Ugh.
And it's like, fuck it. I don't care that much about this game. I'll just talk about it on VGL.
Right. Okay, well, then Rage, it's time for me and you. I'll go first, as I do. On my YouTube channel, don't expect anything this week. Between the sickness and the exhaustion and my backlog and things, there's nothing ready to go up or be scheduled right now, so don't expect anything. If anything shows up, it'll be great. Anything other than the podcast, I should say, that'll be up. But
it'll be a miracle.
It'll be a miracle otherwise. So, if you want to find my YouTube channel and pray to the YouTube gods that content shows up there, you can do so by searching for Gaming Psychologist. I went to get a custom URL, but they're not very custom. It gives me 2 options, and neither of them are Gaming Psychologist, so I just was like, screw it. So I haven't done that yet.
In other words, you haven't broken every single one of my annotations to you yet.
No, not yet. So there's that. If you want to follow me on Twitter, where I tweet about all sorts of things, there's a lot of politics here lately. Although I've gotten quite a few followers, not quite a few, several new Twitter followers who are interested only in my political stuff. So that's nice. But
you're only encouraging them.
You can do so over
But to be fair,
JMA.
I do poke you every so often.
You do. You can do so at JMA4707. If you want to watch me stream games on Twitch, which normally we'd be doing that tonight, but because of sickness and exhaustion again, we're recording tonight.
And the fact that you were a squid girl yesterday.
I was a squid girl yesterday.
Tentacle hair.
Oh, yeah. Twitch.tv/jarthur4707. And if you want to be friends with me on Steam, I'm getting more and more Steam friends. So, yay. jarthur4707. I accept all friend requests on Steam. Hope that you're podcast listeners and hope that you're cool. And so far, I have not gotten a single bad egg, bad seed, bad person. Everyone that friends me on Steam and chats with me has been cool so far.
Well, now you're just asking for it. And if you wish to let him know exactly which episode you're coming from, the password for this week is digress.
It's very applicable to this episode.
Digress.
I thought you were going with diarrhea.
No, that's if we had Kyle this week.
Mouth diarrhea.
Okay,
Okay, Rach, what's going on with your stuff this week, and where can people find you?
Well, as I brought up like 3 hours ago now, a new series, next week, but it'll be new in between recording sessions. It's going to be Grow Up, and I refuse to, so I'm still going to continue putting stuff on YouTube.
There you go.
RimWorld is still going strong, and it's actually, I think, next week going to be, my current series is going to be my longest running one. So, got something going on there. I'm actually still recording that series, so I have no idea how it ends. Had some fun times with that. Let's just put it this way. Random sickness It took out several people. I'm not sure if any of them are here, though. I know one person got hit with both malaria and the plague at the same time.
Oh, that's intense.
Yeah, that's technically known as being fucked.
Yeah. By the way, thanks for letting me get kidnapped. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh,
that's where I'm at right now. So
it's all right. I'm sure that they're treating you fine. They just have you in a crate somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, that's also part of the reason why I've been playing the game a little bit more, is to get my opening moves down a bit better. But let's see. Outside of RimWorld, we have, of course, the very original Sin as well, which hopefully will continue on because, yeah, somebody's been having some issues with being tired.
Indeed. It'll continue on.
Okay.
Never give up. Never surrender.
Yeah, at least I know for next week it's going to be there because we have stuff recorded for it.
Indeed.
And you can find all of that, including the Sunday Sampler, which who knows what that's going to be. I mean, right now, I have an ongoing long-term project to be just filler content whenever I have another game that splits its recording into 12 different videos, but it's something that is a very long-term thing and won't be ready for several weeks because I just want to have time with it. But beyond that, it's just random, usually first impressions of random indie games. And sometimes they're even good indie games. Rarely.
Go through enough queues, you'll find a few good ones.
And sometimes they're a niche of a niche of a niche, and I'm the only one that even remotely likes it. You can find all of that over at Gaming with Caffeine Rage, or you can follow me on Twitter, GamingOCR, where I tweet about random things. Granted, I don't get as political as Jared, but then again, few people do. And if you wish to follow the podcast, or if you're not listening on our RSS feed, you can find us over at vglpodcast.podbean.com, where you can find the RSS feed and the show notes with timestamps, even though the timestamps will be of limited use right now. Look at it this way, you could skip things in the future. But it's also useful for people who are watching us on our YouTube, which my version of the podcast is gaining some momentum. I don't know what's going on there. The power of search engine optimization, I guess. If you wish to email us, and I promise we do read these things, you can email us over at vglpodcast@gmail.com or tweet us at vglpodcast on Twitter. And please limit it to, somewhere below the double digits in one single thread. Kyle. If you wish to pay us to extend that limit, though, which, okay, it's not one of the goals, but it does help, you could send us some money over on patreon.com/VGLpodcast. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kevin McLeod, and you can find his work at incomputech.com.
And, as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice, bye-bye now.
Hey, look, we get music after all.
Chmis, signing off.
I'm dead. I'm out.
Perfect. Bye-bye.